Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. There we go. How is my volume, everybody? Yeah, Rashai, welcome to the stream. Zwei Kanye, Penner. How are you guys doing? Let me see if I can calibrate this. There we go. Don't forget our esports dream. It's a visual novel about esports. I think it's mostly about StarCraft. You can see that's like a command center and there's some like SCVs there. Anyways, I'll get started. Let me know if there are any issues with the volume or anything. That's cute actually, hot-blooded. Okide, Hirashai, welcome to the stream. Wind whips the sea into a frenzy. Just a meter from this grand stage, its waves crash against the shore. But what I feel isn't the ocean, it's them. They're stamping anticipation, their aching lungs begging for mercy. When I touch my forehead, the weight of their expectations wets my fingertips. The crowd, the production, the players, all primed for this moment, for the final match of the season. Poku, Hirashai, welcome to the stream. Penner, wait? Wait for what? What's wrong? Is there something wrong? I thought you were gonna have a just chatting where you tell your story about how you tried to join an esports team. No, it's a visual novel.
Orders, Captain?
Orders, Captain? Oh, they've got like the StarCraft sound effects too. When I think about what's gone into this match, I tremble.
Give me something to shoot.
This is all that still heats my blood. Once we were children and it was our school fad. Now it's a behemoth we call esports. You thought that too? it's a visual novel about esports. I actually know one of the I think I know the writer who did this. He's a Guilty Gear player. It gives my life meaning. When I am dead, my peers and I will be remembered in records, on videotapes, and in the hearts and minds of this crowd and the one at home.
Go, go, go.
They'll speak of today for months. I wish I did not care for that more than this outcome. Once I did, but no longer.
Orders received.
This doesn't look good. Wait, what is going on? Why are his SCVs over here next to this next? It's my last chance, and I've come to see that it matters more than anything else. I am close, so close to what I want, to my lasting legacy and place in our pantheon. We need a visual novel on Daigo and his story. Everything I have ever wanted, it's right here. I just need to seize it. Whoa, they have a cut-in of a Marine. And need his successor? I don't know Daigo. A fair end. I can ask for nothing more. Even now, I am blinded by the beauty of this game. Now to prepare for what follows, for your sake and ours. "11 keyboards. From them, a cacophony of clicks and taps audible through drywall and folded pillows. Mine is the QSEN35, a rubber and plastic mash washed in gray. It's the weapon of choice for every professional StarCraft player in South Korea. Each key press rolls up my arm and into my skull, each a reminder of what I must not forget. I am here to train. 13 inhabit this 2-bedroom high-rise, 5 minutes from the subway and 2 from the studios. The CHB renowned team house has been my home for almost a year. A coach, a manager, and 11 players. Of those 11, I'm one of 4 practice partners. I'm here to train, but not to train myself. Log. Oh no, I can't pronounce Korean names. Kijung Park? Sungwon, we're resuming work on pressure against fast expanse today. 5 minutes of play, then we go again. Okay, so they're like gonna just be playing the beginning of each game for 5 minutes and then like restarting to practice the beginning. Bolt. Yes, Young. Coach Park. Before that, I'd appreciate it if you took care of the dishes. Sure, Coach, no problem. He's got to do the chores. Be quick. Top 16 starts this week. From the sink, I can see my teammates focus on fast-moving screens, each tightly packed into the living room of this team house. A dish soap bottle retches up enough orange liquid to degrease our microwaved lunch plates. I scrub this duty for the sake of my team. So you can kind of see like there's a hierarchy going on here with practice partners probably at the bottom of the totem pole, right? Even if I don't make much of a salary, my peers and fans acknowledge me as a pro gamer. When I doubt myself, my license and team jacket prove that it remains true. Not so long ago, even the best StarCraft players trained with friends and clanmates in their spare time. But the game has changed. Top players can't stay in form without the support of a team, without people like me. I'm almost done with my chore when I look up and glance towards Locke. He hurries me with a stare. Down the line of PCs, our teammate Jang throws his head back and mumbles a curse at Yunho. Is that how you pronounce it? Yunho? His opponent across from his station. There's a Daigo manga. Yeah, there is. Were he not so tired, there might be more to the grin Yunho offers back. When at last I'm finished, I take 5 steps back to my seat at Locke's side. He says nothing as he sends me the game invite. Workers, minerals, a nexus. With these tools in hand, I sculpt an attack to test Locke's wall. They use like the StarCraft background music too. This is the Terran theme. Objective: click the nexus to begin practice game. What? Is there gameplay in this? Okay, 4 minutes into the game, I probe his base for weakness. There's no way for me to break past his front in this position, so I retreat after inflicting only a tiny bit of damage. Objective: orders are given to units through a combination of mouse and keyboard actions. Left click the Dragoon, then right click to move it. Press keyboard keys to use hotkeys without clicking them. Press the 1, then A key, then issue an attack on the bunker. Oh my god, it's imitating the game. Hotkeys are optional, but using the correct keys will increase accuracy score and actions per minute. You want to increase your APM in the visual novel? There won't be a killing blow in any of these games. He types GG by force of habit or otherwise and quits out. Oh, that's neat for a visual. I didn't know it was going to be like this. Again. And we go again. Probes, pylons, nexus, and another failed attack. He must be spread thin somewhere, but I just can't find it. Again, I adapt, tighten my timings, anticipate his scout, and move to intercept. And again, his stalwart defense holds. I'm missing something, and I have to figure it out so that Locke is prepared if he ever faces an attack like this. At the 5-minute mark, he GG's and quits out. You are focusing too much on your map advantage. I should be able to deal more damage when there's no ramp. I don't understand how you're holding me so well. You know your advantage. Consider your disadvantage. The choke. Even though I'm guaranteed to deal damage, he can't be certain that if I'm only chipping away at his wall, it won't be enough. I have an idea. Let's go again. And we're back at it. Though I don't manage game-ending damage with my next attack, I do sneak past his defense for the first time. I'm sure he'll adapt back in the next game. Even though I spend my practice days like this, grinding out specific matchups or situations for another person's sake, I've learned so much from Locke. Viewing my actions per minute as a resource, and not a statistic, or benchmarking an enemy's gas against the clock, even as a veteran, this game's depth never ceases to amaze me. I've asked myself many times if I'm okay with this existence, with life as a cog in the great machine that is Korean esports. Alejandro Hirachai, welcome to the stream. Thank you for the congrats on 300 subs. Maybe someday, I'll lust for the recognition and profile that comes with a Star League victory, but for now, I'm happy. StarCraft is a beautiful game, If I could spend the rest of my life like this, I could die without regrets. Sangwon, let me know when Locke's finished with you. I'd like to speak over lunch. Not yet. Again. Coach Park and I stand at the corner of our team's dining room table. When he doesn't sit, I realize he has things to say that I won't want to hear. How would you describe your performance over the past year with CHB renown, Sangwon? I take a shallow breath, do not lose eye contact. My biggest improvement has been to my efficiency in practice. Even though I'm strongest on offense, I'm capable of playing many styles, and my mechanics are stronger than ever. That's true. You've been consistent with our 12-hour days. You are a hard worker, no one denies that. He speaks without the intent to put me at ease. What he's going to say next is clear. I can't let him. I'm the most popular training partner for ZVP and TVP. The main roster will vouch for me. Most would, yes. Why? Why is this happening? But when I look at your performance, you just haven't met my expectations. Your win rate in Team League isn't what I had hoped for. What? Coach Park, I'm no ace, but considering so much of my practice time is spent helping the main roster. Sangwon, I don't want to do this, but renegotiations with the sponsor went poorly. The reality is that we cannot afford you. I put my face in my hands. There's nothing else for me to say. I know you made sacrifices for the team. If you want, I'd allow you to pay a small rent and continue to live and train in the house. No, I can't do that. That was for my dignity's sake. We both know to accept it is to admit failure. I'm insulted that he thinks I needed it. You are a good player that could become great. I would feel guilty if this setback ended your StarCraft career. Take the time you need to gather your belongings. The main roster already knows, but I can inform the rest of the team if you'd like. No. I'll be brief. I don't want to disrupt practice. With the awkward farewells of my teammates at my back, I round the last of the steps and step onto the sidewalk. Sangwon. Oh, Hyung. I hurry a bow in this direction, balancing the contents of a cardboard box in my arms. I'm sorry that I won't be able to stay on the team. I should have worked harder. What will you do now? I'm not sure. Try out for another team or maybe enroll in school abroad. Not military service, at least not yet. I wait for him to fill the silence before rushing to do so myself. It was a privilege to practice with you this year, Kijung. Thanks for all of your hard work. I won't forget these past months. Sangwon, if you can't commit everything to this game, you should quit. Never forget to appreciate that skill in a game can earn you a living in today's age, and don't hesitate to call if you need something. Goodbye, Sangwon. Is it Sung or Sung? The day I finished my high school exams, I pledged that I'd never again endure another day inside of a goshon. The sight of these cramped walls tightens my jaw. I turn and face the mirror. I'm the same person I was yesterday. Even if it doesn't feel true, I see it. It dawns on me that everything I own is currently in my arms or scattered across this room. I take a moment to look my possessions over, silent, still. The life I had before I became a pro gamer is here in my hands. Then, I launch them against the ground. With a crash, the box crumples and spills its contents across the floor. I just can't be here right now. There's only one place I know I can go. After a moment to collect myself, I step quietly into the hallway. A high schooler peeking through his doorway at mine creaks it shut when I appear. Even if Locke didn't warn me I was being cut, I am thankful that he treated me like his teammate up to the very end. I don't question whether or not he's right about me. Even if I didn't already know the truth in his words, I trust him on principle. Guys like Locke, Fierce, or any of the other 7 kings destroy the obstacles that the rest of us struggle with. They are above us because they've earned it. It's that fact that makes StarCraft special. It doesn't matter who your dad is. If you have 500 won and an hour after school, you've got your ticket to the party. Those guys face setbacks. But the fact is that I'm further from them today than I was yesterday. Only one pillar remains. I play the game well. I'm guaranteed to go as far as Yunho, Zhejiang, or anyone that... Why is it romanized like this? Somebody teach me Korean. Oops, I missed it. History? Or anyone else on that roster aside from Locke. I might have driven that home to Coach Park if I hadn't been so surprised. What says more than anything is that despite all of this, right now all I want to do is play StarCraft. It takes just a block to find what I'm looking for. A PC bang. A potato stand. Yeah, they got like the twisted potatoes here. And here. And like... I've actually never had one. A Korean style one. Actually, yeah, kind of weird it's written like that. This is just like Jang. I'm embarrassed to step inside this place. I've downgraded my professional practice space for a den of kids and burnouts. It's got like a Mega Man poster in the bag. An unwashed 30-year-old wastes his oh wait, just to my left. The heroic MMO avatar on his screen, the antithesis of its master. Ooh, what a burn. In the row behind him, 4 middle schoolers spin a fifth around in one of the computer chairs until he reaches a ludicrous speed. Most of the 80 or so CRTs and the ancient machines they're connected to remain unoccupied. Not a problem, as StarCraft runs fine on even the worst PCs these days. I close the distance to the front desk only to find it empty. After almost a minute waiting, I wrap my knuckles against the wood. An unseen voice, tired and gravely, gives an answer shortly followed by the rustle of a newspaper. Wait a moment. A middle-aged man turns the corner out of an office and falls into his seat at the desk. You got an account? No, this is a one-off. I take a bill from my wallet and offer it forward, eager to end the conversation and get to work. Snaps it into a drawer in a fluid motion. Right then, take your pick. I turn to hide my grimace and make for a PC in an empty row. But after I sit down and log into my machine, any hope I had for a silent afternoon of StarCraft ends. A girl dressed in a high school uniform promptly takes a seat at the station directly to my left. When I begrudgingly turn to acknowledge her, she takes it as an invitation to speak. Oh, hi, do you mind? I do. I don't. Thanks, I really like your CHB renowned jacket. Ugh, but I can't be surprised that she doesn't recognize me when I haven't played in any high-profile matches. Yeah, thanks. So, do you play any games? I guess that has an obvious answer since you're at a PC bang, but you could be here to watch a movie or something. I'm Minseo Kim, by the way, so call me Minseo. Sunghwan. Is it Sunghwan or Sunghwan? Sunghwan. It's so disruptive. Just like me doubting my pronunciation every single time. It's so nice to meet you, Sunghwan. Since you have a CHB renowned jacket, I'm guessing that you play StarCraft. Would you like to play with me? I'm not sure there'd be much point. Oh, you don't think I'd be much of a challenge? Why is that? I'm confident, and to prove it, I'll play you with money on the line. You don't want to do that. I do. Everyone new to Golden Zonefire needs my seal of approval. So will you play? Ah, so she must be like, she's like the guardian of this net cafe. Money to burn, I see. Typical Navo rich wannabe. Maybe I should just try to scare her off. Okay, let's play one game for 100,000 won. Whoa, she looks over her shoulder nervously, rightfully hesitant about a bet worth around $100. But then, okay, XSL maps only? You can pick, I guess. She laughs with nervous excitement. My offer barely gave her a second thought. Something is off here. I'll just be over here back at my PC in the corner. I'll host, so just wait a minute. Just wait a second. It takes only a moment for a game hosted by Minseo Hart to appear on the cafe's local area network. Looks like she plays Zerg. It might be hard knowing the right pronunciation about Hangul because romanizations can be different. Yeah, true. So we're really doing this, huh? I should be thankful, honestly. More than money, I needed this win. The countdown begins when I select Protoss and ready up. We're thrust in-game a moment later. Tempting as it is to end this quickly, with that much money on the line, I should play safe. No cutting corners or cocky play. Huh? Her building placement is pretty good. Let's see if she's got micro to match it. Time to get my zealots in there. Not bad. I expected to simply roll her, but it looks like I'll have to settle for just a little bit of damage. Time to reinforce. The faster I hit this macro cycle, the faster I can get back to putting pressure on her expansion. I expected to win this purely on execution. Looks like I'll need to take a third base. Wait a second, she's contesting my expansion? And with an army of that size, this timing has just got to be a fluke. It doesn't matter, I need to defend it now. This is kind of fun. Okay, I forced her off my expansion after a bit of back and forth. I need to carry this momentum to take control of center. She must be teching behind this. If I don't deal enough damage here, I'm in some serious trouble. Come on, go. Okay, good. Damage dealt. But where's the rest of the army? Shit, wait, she's intercepting my units. But, this was an interesting attack, but not the right call with just Hydras. If I can clean up her split army, I'll finish off her expansions and end the game. Good. I'll clean up her third and then roll into her natural. Let's end this. These are all like terminology for like the bases, right? I think there's like a dictionary that we can look at after. Phew, that was a ridiculous amount of work for a game with a random high schooler. I almost failed to notice that she didn't GG before quitting out. S rank, 162 APM. God damn, I'll give this girl some credit. For someone I've never heard of, she plays Zerg absurdly well. And she's just some random high schooler. I've got to talk with her. Here, let me look at the codex. Is there like, oh, is there not StarCraft terminology in here? I have no idea what StarCraft is. Really? Oh, like, have you, like, you've heard of it, right? So what happened there with like the expansions and third? So like, basically, man, I don't even play very much StarCraft, so I don't really know. But he tried to just like beat her easily, but then he had to end up like expanding his base and like building more mining areas, right? And at the end, he was like dealing with the opponent's kind of bases, like the auxiliary bases. They're like a little bit split off from like the original base at the very back. And then at the end, no, I thought of Star Trek, but that's something way different. Oh, StarCraft's it used to be really, really popular in South Korea as a esports game. Like they even had TV shows. Like there would be constant programs going on TV with like people playing StarCraft, and it's a real-time strategy game. So like you basically you play as like an army versus an opponent army in space, and there's like 3 different types of races that you could choose from that have different units and buildings and stuff like that. I stand and search her head out from the sea of monitors. What I find instead is a flash of red and a raised voice flying in my direction. Jet. Alright, just who the hell you think you are? Mass gateways? Do you think you're good or... Chaeyoung Song? Seung-hwan Lee. I lost the bullet. Kill me. Jet, we lost. You did fine. I was the one that lost. With permission to discard wrongdoing, Minseo regains her smile and strikes a pose along Chaeyoung. You're pretty good if you can beat Jet. She always wins when we pull this trick off. Oh, she swaps. Must have gotten lucky. She says nothing, but I can feel the sear of Jet's gaze. Ooh, what's this? I feel an unspoken animosity building with each passing second. Didn't your older brother used to pull this scam with you as the bait? Keep that to yourself. What's a pro gamer doing at a PT Bang anyway? Bored of the 200 APM mansion? Congrats on last place in the team league standings, by the way. Waifu simulator? I don't think so. When I fail to bite back, Jet seems to get not to press the attack. Luckily for the both of us, Minseo seizes the chance and leaps forward to shower me with her starry gaze. Ah, you're a pro gamer on CHB Renown. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. No wonder your jacket looked real. What's your tag? Former member, and it's Bolt. I can't think of anything too recent, but I remember that you won Braver last year. These are some pro gamer moves. Yeah, they're scamming people. Oh yeah, I did. How did you know that? She brightens, reveling in my inquiry as high praise. Because I'm Minseo Kim, StarCraft superfan. You have a groupie, Chaeyoung? No, ass. Minseo was my junior in high school, and under her presidency and my tutelage, our esports club continues to dominate. You're supposed to stop caring about anything high school related by the time you're college aged. But I'm a fan of Jet, even if I'm a friend of Chaeyoung. She punctuates the line with a finger heart, thawing Chaeyoung's scowl, if only for a moment. I'll admit to this, you're the first that Minseo and I have lost to since we started doing this. You're lucky it was me. You have an image to think about whether you like it or not. Says who? What are they gonna do? Post on AC Inside about how I smashed them? Getting by isn't easy once you're out of the league. Are you struggling? There has to be some serious opportunities out there for someone like you. Someone like me? You sound like the comment section of any article that dares to mention my name. Your story is a good warning for any pro gamer thinking about leaving their team. How long has it been now? 9 months? You're not in much of a position to dish it out judging by what I just heard. And at least my matches made it on TV. Your 2v2s made it on TV. Oh, and your keyboard commercials. What's it like to accomplish nothing in a year, Bolt? What's it like to peak in high school, Jet? I'm not sure she realizes that she's been stepping forward until we're practically touching heads. Still, Jet doesn't back down. Her teeth grind audibly, and I can see a vein on her neck threatening to burst. Minseo's wide eyes bounce between the two of us, almost as panicked and as helpless as she is entertained. But before Jet can bite back with yet another taunt, the clerk's voice cuts between us. No one in here wants to hear you two fight. Your PC's time's ticking, so sit down. Who asked you? We're only here to hustle your... I cut Jet off by dropping a hand on her shoulder. We'll keep it down. He squints in our direction before settling for a shrug. Soon he is back behind his desk and newspaper, only the top of his wild hair visible. Okay, no more fighting. We're friends here. Let's talk about something positive, something we can all relate to. Oh, did you guys hear the new single from Vaccine? It's so good. And oh, the CSAT is finally coming up. I've been studying so hard. They say your whole life is determined by the score you get on the exam. What's that saying about how much sleep a Korean high schooler should get? Despite her best efforts, Minseo receives no answer. She looks ready to accept total defeat. But just when all hope seems lost, Chaeyoung heaves a sigh. I'm done if you are. She's the one that lost, not me. You two might as well get back to your scheme. I came here to practice. Fine, we will. Minseo, you see anyone walk in here since... I just realized it's 5:30 and that I'm late for cram school. Bye Jet, bye Bolt. Your match was way exciting. I'll see you later. Minseo sprints out from our aisle and down the stairs. By the time the clerk peeks his head over the counter to chastise her, she's gone. Practice, huh? Then I want a rematch. A few games turn into a few hours of games, and then a few more. Our matches are troublingly close considering how long Chaeyoung's been on her own. Phew, my wrists haven't hurt like this in months. She leans back in her chair, massaging her forearm with a thumb. If you haven't been practicing KPGA hours, how have you been keeping your mechanics in such good shape? Was that a compliment? Why, thank you, Sungwon. We done here? I don't want to miss the last line home. The PC Bang Nights crowds are always a little iffy. What was that about not caring about your image? Chaeyoung does her best to ignore me, stepping to my side as we make way to the stairs. Closest subway station is down this alley and out the left. Don't need it, I'm nearby. Well, I do. Let me guess, Gochewon? For now. It's not so bad, don't think about it as home. But just a place to sleep and shower, that's how I manage. Damn, you too? How long have you been living like that? I'd rather not say. Chaeyoung watches the ground in front of her. We turn left out of the alley with a bit further to go. So, gonna go abroad for school finally, or maybe get your military service done? I'm not sure yet. I want to give myself a month or two to see if I can get signed first. You're given the perfect excuse to get out and you climb right back in. Only a Protoss could be so stupid. You're still a good player, Chaeyoung. You should join me. StarCraft is just a game I play for fun these days. I show my skepticism with a look. Chaeyoung reboots it just a bit too quickly. Really? I asked for practice just for old time's sake. Do what you want, but if you've still got the drive, and you still think you know everything, you'll be at that cafe tomorrow, yeah? With the subway tunnel up ahead, Chaeyoung cuts past me, but before she takes the first stair, she turns. Yeah, and my number hasn't changed. What you mean to say was, please call me sometime? I am a bored and lonely girl. He's so rude. Ugh. I watched Chaeyoung descend the tile steps and turn down into the station and out of sight. My first night at the CHB renowned team house wasn't one I'd soon forget. That evening, just after I'd received my team jacket, I memorized the cracks and imperfections in the ceiling while my teammates turned and snored. When dawn came, I blinked away the pattern I'd etched into my eyes. The next night, sleep came easily. Practices did too. I thought that made me special. But I wasn't. Pressure from coaches and teammates pushes everyone past reasonable work hours. You don't want to be the guy practicing 10 hours when everyone practices 12. Soon the routine becomes habit. It remains challenging and mind-numbing, but life is simple when it's on rails. I might never be as great as Locke, no matter how hard I practice. It's not just talent. Winning isn't the goal, it's a symptom of something bigger. Locke told me that everything like that is possible to learn. Even now, with all the advice and expertise he gave me, I know I have his faith. As long as I'm off the rails, I might as well enjoy wandering. Even as light begins to trickle through my window, I don't rise until I hear movement in the hallway. Students, expats, part-timers, and divorced salarymen. I dress and walk among them. Should be enough for 20 hours. The clerk sticks his hand forward, palm up. I drop a few thousand won into it. Get the monthly deal if you plan on becoming a regular. Not today, sorry. He shrugs and returns his attention to his newspaper. Minseo is the first to notice me. She waves an arm in my direction until Chaeyoung yanks her back into her seat. Ow, Min. You're drawing too much attention our way. Remember, I have to avoid detection for the plan to work. Oh, right. Sorry. 2 days in a row? You two put the hustle into hustling. Well, we have to make up for yesterday. What do you mean? You didn't pay me. We lost time. You should have beaten me with a rush build. Yeah, I'm sure you'd taken that way better. Jet stares me down before finally beckoning me to join the nearby station. Need any help? You wouldn't work as the bait. Keep us company until we find our mark. I want to hear about life at the CHB house. It was nothing special, lots of StarCraft and little personal space. But I'll bet it was still a lot of fun, right? Late nights practicing, preparing for Team League. I get excited just thinking about it. Sometimes, yeah, but it's real work. Just ask Chaeyoung. But before she can, a scrawny middle schooler with a bowl cut jingles Golden Zone Fire's door open. Minseo hurries to her feet, but Chaeyoung throws a hand at her. Not that one. Look behind him. Got it. While Jet ducks out of view, I'm free to watch the familiar scene plays out. As soon as he's paid for his PC, Minseo approaches the newcomer and strikes up a conversation. He's wearing a leather jacket. What a tryhard. Who cares? We just need him to say yes. Even when someone turns Minseo down, they almost always play StarCraft. Not sure with this one. How is he supposed to see his resources in the top right with that hair in his face? You're being an ass. I sink back in my chair. How is Jet, of all people, chiding my manners? She's the BM one. Across the room, it looks like Minseo's got the wannabe punk on the hook. She trots off and picks a station separate from both us and the challenger. The expected follows shortly. Jet posts a game under Minseo's handle and crushes the guy in less than 5 minutes. From across the room, I watch him fume at his station. Victory in hand, Chaeyoung signals for Minseo to rise up and collect her winnings. Who's the bully now? Serves him right for thinking of her as a free win. Hey, that hurts. Please let go. What kind of trick did you pull on me? There's no way. I look to find the challenger with Minseo's wrist in a vice and rise to intervene. The punk trails off when he catches me striding towards him. After a size up, he throws a sneer in my direction. I get it. This was some kind of trick. I'm only going to ask you once. But I don't get to ask once. Chaeyoung flies past me, teeth bared and eyes alight with rage, and whacks a keyboard over his head. Keycaps scatter across the floor, and he staggers away, dazed. In the chaos, Minseo retreats away from him and finds a place at my side. The punk doesn't seem seriously injured, though judging by the way Jet's holding the now crooked keyboard, it's not too late for that to still happen. No, not the keycaps. I can't believe she actually smashes him with a keyboard. What the hell is wrong with you? You're crazy. My clan won't let you get away with this. He blinks through his pain, unable to make out exactly who had attacked him. Come on, are you gonna do something about it? Minseo says, just let him go. It was only 10,000 won. I look across the room to see the clerk on his feet and searching out the chaos. We need to end this quick. Let him walk, Chaeyoung. Jet tosses the keyboard aside without taking her eyes off of him. The guy, still seeing stars, points vaguely in Jet's direction. Whoever you are, you'll regret this. Just you wait. When Chaeyoung fails to react, the guy stumbles and stomps for the exit. It's only once he's out of sight that Chaeyoung heaves a sigh of relief and turns to Minseo. You good? I shouldn't have smiled so much when I came up to him. He must have thought I was making fun of him. It's not your fault. Maybe we shouldn't do this anymore. Wait, it's okay. I'm fine with it, really. I'm living in the past until I put this behind me. It's time we stop hustling and move on to something else. We're still going to... If not this, then why else would you hang out with me? Why not learn StarCraft? That's what you really want, right? Minseo blinks once and rocks heel to toe on her school shoes. Well, sure, maybe. We'll teach you. Better use of your time and ours. Her eyes flit from mine to Chaeyoung's to seek approval. Seungwon has the right idea. It's past time you had some real instruction. You're probably right, Chaeyoung. Okay, I'm into it. Minseo Kim, StarCraft superfan and superstar. Do we start right now? Don't see why not. If you're finally getting serious, no more random select. What race are you gonna play? Protoss, Terran, or Zerg? I like all the races, but I have to pick one, don't I? My favorite pro gamer is Terran, but wait, Jet is a Zerg. And Bolt is a Protoss. You can always switch. Start with the race you think you'll have the most fun with. Minseo sways lazily, evidently debating the merits of each in her head. Okay, I pick Protoss. They look the coolest. What is it with my juniors and Protoss? Ugh. Hey, if she picked Zerg, you'd have to ZVZ with her. You should be thankful. True, but I want you to be the one to play her so that I can watch. Post up whenever you're ready. Also pick Terran. let's start off with some basic Terran macro. I'll make a few vultures and siege tanks and launch an attack.
Alright, bring it on. Ready to something on your mind? No Destination moving.
God, I wasn't ready. Okay. Can we do no rush 15 in the next game? No rush 15? 15 minutes before either of us are allowed to attack? People still do that? I have every right to refuse for the sake of better practice, but maybe it's better to let her try and have a little fun. Sure, you got it. I'll play this slow and take a bunch of expansions. I'm sure that despite the space I've given her, I have little to fear. And to the surprise of none, Minseo takes straight to carriers and attacks when her 15 minutes are up. Let's see if I can defend this with 3 Goliaths.
Systems functional.
Done. Her failure to micro makes it a simple task. Oh, come on, that always works on big game hunters. But she doesn't give up just yet. Minseo reinforces her paltry army and attacks again. This is really funny because, like, it's a super accurate representation of low-level play, because this is what I did when I was, like, in elementary school.
Channel open. Confirmed. Orders, sir. Absolutely.
But with a proper army this time, I make short work of her. With Minseo thoroughly tested, Jet steps forward. Let's call it there. Good try, Minseo. Not bad, you're about the level I expected, so let's switch gears into some learning. Seunghwan, how do you think you'd start teaching someone about Protoss versus Zerg? Probably with openings. PvZ is easy to lose early on as a Protoss if you don't know what to do. The standard Protoss opening against Zerg is Forge, Fast, Expand. That means your first buildings are a pylon, a forge, and then a nexus. Using the forge to wall off the front and covering the wall with cannons makes it easy to defend your expansion. We do this because on most maps, Zerglings are hard to defend against without a wall. So you can see that you kind of find this opening and then you build these buildings that will cover the entire opening and no units can get past. You know about +1 weapons, right? The upgrade that almost every Protoss player gets versus Zerg? Yup, you need a forge to upgrade +1 weapons. Right, so why do you think that it's so important against Zerg? Well, I don't know it was. Is it because you need a forge to make cannons, so you might as well upgrade +1 weapons anyway? Here's a hint. How many hits does it take for a Zealot to kill a Zergling? 2? I think it's 2. Doesn't surprise me that you'd think that. Normally it's 3, but with +1 attack it's 2. Zealots normally deal 16 per attack. With +1 weapon, they deal 18 instead. And since Zerglings only have 35 hit points, so we got a little bit of math going here. 32 versus 36. Oh, that makes a huge difference, doesn't it? So not only does the Forge let you build cannons to defend an early expansion, it also gives you a powerful option to deal with Zerglings. Okay, I understand all of the stuff you're talking about, but then how come I never see Protoss just pick a bunch of Zealots against the Zerg and win? The simple answer is because Zergs know how to beat that already. The full answer is a little complicated. You know about the term metagame, right? Yeah, I hear the commentators use it all the time. I don't totally get it, but I know it's something that's evolved over the years based on past strategies. The most dominant players, strategies, and the map pool determines the meta. A while ago, when Protoss used +1 weapons Zealots attacks to score easy wins, Zerg had to figure out a way to deal with it. Modern Zerg builds can all survive a +1 Zealot attack. That wasn't always the case. The answers Zergs found to be the most dominant Protoss strategy that could also handle most other builds became standard. To give another example, right when StarCraft first came out, a Zergling rush always crushed normal Protoss and Terran builds. Both races had to figure out a standard strategy to deal with a 4 pool, the famous Zerg rush, without crippling themselves in a longer game. So playing standard is like standing at the center of a tennis court. You might not deal with someone as easily if you'd been in the right spot, but you can get to every ball if you work hard. That's a really nice analogy. That's a funny way to think about it. And as pros develop the metagame, we're getting closer and closer to the truth of where the center of the court actually is. Ah, I feel so left behind. Why didn't I start playing StarCraft last year? Chaeyoung and I follow up the practice session with a few matches of our own for Minseo's benefit. She hovers behind us, watching both screens and asking whatever questions that come to mind. Jet, how come you always keep that Overlord in the group with all of your Mutalisks? I have to do it if I want to stack my Mutas. Oh, you mean that's how you get them all clumped up? That's weird. Is it a glitch? I guess so. I don't really think of it as one. There are tons of quirks like that in StarCraft. Patrol micro for one. It lets us make a moving shot with certain units with an otherwise useless button. Those quirks are part of what makes StarCraft special. There's no way the developers intended for us to play it the way we do. Without Korea, StarCraft wouldn't have been recognized as a deep and rewarding competitive game, especially 10 years later. And don't even get me started on the importance of Korean-made maps to keep the game balanced. Foreigners are a non-factor as far as I'm concerned, even if they did develop the game. Hello? Aren't you forgetting someone? One win against many. That's nothing for non-Koreans to brag about. Don't listen to Seonghwan. We simply took it further than it was meant to go, with no sign of stopping, might I add. How can you possibly disagree? It's indisputable that we have the best players and the best leagues. Someone else would have found the Mutalist stacking trick if a Korean hadn't. Don't you think that StarCraft belongs to... Chaeyoung's train of thought screeches to a halt when I ambush her Mutalisk flock with Corsairs. We call the practice session after Jet claws her way back to an admittedly impressive comeback so that Minseo can get to cram school on time. Thanks you guys, I'm really excited to practice tonight after I finish my schoolwork. Calling it practice already? Try to treat it like a game while you still can. Spending time with two pro gamers is rubbing off on me, I guess. I'm not... Never mind. See you, Minseo. Take it easy. I offer a lazy salute as she heads off, leaving me to contend with Chaeyoung and her scowl on my own. How can you be such a KPGA chill, especially after CHB Renown cut you? I'm only stating facts. Facts. Chaeyoung steps forward and strikes a pose reminiscent of old propaganda posters. I am Seonghwan Lee. The Republic of Korea is the greatest country in the world, especially at StarCraft. Never underestimate Korea ever again. A shame you never gave any ceremonies. A shame you'll cry when I chop you. What's with the sudden faith in foreigners? Not sudden, and it has nothing to do with faith. It's about respect. Everyone in this profession deserves that much. And drop the Martyr Act. I'm sure KPGA bureaucracy is part of why you're off CHB Renown. I knew it. I'm not saying anything like that, but they kept me ahead of the others that I know contribute less. Piss someone important off? Not that I know of. I was Locke's practice partner all throughout his XSL run. Consider me impressed. Shame about the finals though. Why didn't Locke stick up for you? I doubt he'll find a better practice partner. I glance away and rub the back of my head. If only I had the answer to that question. Do you want to go for a walk? I think we should just practice. We will, later. You'll see where we're going. Slowly but surely, I start to recognize the sound of our shoes against the concrete. Want to be crowded? Not likely. We turn into an outdoor shopping mall with real estate signs littering every patch of grass and come to a stop before a gutted storefront. And I thought cram schools were on the rise. Tried to remember how terribly this place was managed. We're lucky that it was. Jet starts forward, ducking under some yellow tape to test the door. Bold, but I don't think... It yields to her pull, and with a mischievous look back, she steps inside. Not to be left behind, I follow Jet's lead and quickly find myself shoulder to shoulder with her. We might as well have spent our nights here on StarCraft instead, at least in your case. Just mine? We turn into an empty room, its carpet floor stripped bare in places. Jet breaks away from my side and strides to the center, hands set on her hips. Every night I spent in this room scared me. When something didn't make sense, or when I got a bad grade, I prayed for a day when I could make my own path. You did. I did. You did too. And we both failed. Silence. Chae-Young's smile is there, but there's nothing behind it. I can't stop thinking, what if? It's practically all I can think about these days. You act tough, but I know you feel the same way. We're behind, all for some stupid esports dream. But you wouldn't take it back. I was ready to. Then you had to show up. That's not true, you've been hiding. Trust me, I've been trying to convince myself not to repeat my mistakes. The TV on the cart? It's just, this is a school, isn't it? It looks like a school. There's like a little bit of a... There's all these desks, and then there's like the TV on the cart, like a projector. Equals an easy day in class. Yeah, the teacher just brings out the TV on the cart and plays whatever, and like maybe you have to take notes, maybe you don't. Can you spend another year this way and call yourself happy? Only one person gets to win a Star League. Do 31 others go home unhappy? That's the world we live in. You are incredibly lucky to only know that because of StarCraft. I can't just show good games for the rest of my life and be satisfied. But you'll try again anyway. I will, because I want this, and I still believe I can make it work. She extends a hand, eyes veiled behind her bangs. I reach to renew our pact with a shake. To us, future champions. To this esports dream. Don't forget our esports dream. That was the intro. I think. I mean, there was a title drop. I spend another morning as an outsider in my own room. A brief consideration of returning to my parents' place ends when I notice my pained face in the mirror. The chance of interacting with them comes with the chance of them discovering my situation. There's no way I'm going to give them that satisfaction. I brought very little when I moved into the CHB renowned team house. The contents of my single cardboard box reflect that. My parents were always preoccupied with what they owned or could own. At the time, I was glad to be free of that. A knock sounds at my door. I don't remember telling Jet where exactly I was living. Yes? Hi. Hello? I need to print something and can't get the printer to work. Can you help? Sorry to hear that. You should probably ask the landlady. I think her room is on the first floor. I did. She's not there, or if she's there, she won't answer the door. Please, I have to print this essay or I'm dead. Really, dead. Will you at least take a look? Fine, show me. She leads me down the hallway to the right, the opposite way from the stairwell. We emerge in a shared common area fit with a kitchen, washing machines, and other standard necessities. Among them is the printer in question, opened to reveal its guts. Here, I can't make it work. It has paper, it has ink, I don't know the issue. You're printing from a PC in your room, I'm guessing? Which printer are you sending it to? I point out the brand on the side of the machine. She squints forward and tilts her head to read it. That's not 2 PDF. Could it be on a different floor? It's all I can do to smash my palm against my forehead. That option may be in English, but that's no excuse for a Korean high schooler. I quickly fill her in on her mistake. If she feels any embarrassment, she veils it well. 1 second. She steps down the hall and into the door adjacent to mine. Less than a minute later, the printer grinds to life and spews a half-dozen pages on post-war history. It's well written and researched as far as high school history papers go. She returns by the time it's finished printing, relieved. Are you bad with computers? Not at all. I'm extremely online, actually. I'm just tired, I think. It'll be over before you know it. That's all you needed, yeah? Yeah, thank you for helping me. I'm Yuna. Sunghan, I recognize that uniform. You're a high schooler? You're not? No, I graduated last year. Then why are you here? Sorry, never mind. I take her up on the tacit offer not to explain my situation. I prefer that, as few people as possible know that the Protoss player Bolt was kicked from his team, at least until I'm back on a KPGA squad. She wanders away after we share a farewell. Her papers held together messily under her arm. One good deed done for the day. Time to spend the rest of it grinding StarCraft. Minseo won't be at the PC Bang till after school's out, but I might be able to find Chaeyoung. I pop my head through the door and peek inside to find Golden Zone Fire mostly empty and with no sight of Jet. Maybe I'll grab an early lunch and find her here when I return. I'll have to start practice soon either way. But before I can leave, a voice within the cafe calls for my attention. Young man, come here for a moment. When I turn, I see the clerk beckoning for me from behind the counter. It's only after a pause that I take a few steps in his direction with my hands buried in the pockets of my sweatshirt. You and that red-haired girl are pro gamers, aren't you? Who told you that? Those brightly colored jackets and the hammering you do to my keyboards, and you did just now. What are two pro gamers doing in a PC Bang? Don't you have practice house? Don't you have a practice house or wherever else the table have you working from? Chaebol are large South Korean companies that play a significant role in politics. 5 Chaebol represent half of the South Korean stock market's value. Chaebol is a combination of the Korean world's Che and Bol, wealth and clan. Okay. On the contrary, she's a former pro gamer, not currently on the team. As for me, I'm in the same boat, so you're a bit off with that assumption, Smokes. That ain't my name. And I get it. Good luck to you both. The cafe is just a random pick. You don't need to get involved with us. Straightforward of you. Just don't do anything that'll cost me any money or time, and that's the deal. Speaking of, if your friend hits another one of my paying customers with a keyboard, you two are done for. You're lucky those Q-Sends are cheap and that I don't involve myself with police. Right then, I'm going to... You're here early. Jet brushes past me and slaps a card onto the clerk's counter. Smokes takes it for a scan and throws me a stern look when Chaeyoung turns away. Once her time's added, I follow her to our setups. Got nowhere else to be. Is this all we have for today? Besides Bin and myself, the classroom is totally empty. He stares up at me annoyed, probably because I told him I was bringing snacks today. There's no food, is there? Where are Jang and Choi? Even Jaehoon. I knew it. This is a waste of time. No good players, no one to learn from, and no food. Minseo, I quit. Ah, Bin, wait. But what about club practice? What practices are you talking about? All you do is ramble about your favorite pro gamers week after week. Now you ask for practice? Let me guess. You want to play fastest possible BGH customs? I'm out of here. Without another word, Bean rises from his desk and storms off. I reach for my backpack and fumble through my books. It's only once I'm sure that I'm alone, I pull out my trusted confidant. I don't think anyone else is coming. It's so stuffed and zergling. What if they're running late? No one has time for a trivial club with the CSAT looming. Also, you overheard them call StarCraft old and frustrating. I believe in second chances. It's time to face facts. Chaeyoung was the only reason the StarCraft club was popular. You can't sustain it with aegyo and snack lies. You don't know that. I fling the purple plushie across the room. It bonks against a bookshelf and plops to the ground sadly. Ah, no, oh no, what have I done? I rush forward and scoop up Mutt into my arms. He's not broken or torn or anything, but I'm sorry. It's okay, Minseo, I know how you get. You don't have to only listen to me, you know. Why don't you consult Probe-kun? Oh, that's a good idea. What do you think, Probe-kun? Am I going to keep this club together? It makes a sound. Why do you always take Mutt's side? Ah, oh no. Oh well, a visit with Chaeyoung and Seungwon will cheer me up. Golden Zone Fire isn't too far from my school. I wouldn't mind the walk even if it was. It's not like I have anything to do except study for tests that everyone says will single-handedly determine my future. It'd be so cool if you could study StarCraft in school, but I'd probably make a bad grade. Jet is amazing. She cruised through school and pro gaming at the same time. I never saw her study ever, which means she must have aced everything without trying. Bolt too. Pro gamers are so cool. Ah, I wish I was talented like them. Right there, that's her. Uh-oh. Eh? I turned to find the guy from yesterday staring at me. Behind him, a bunch of guys wearing matching school uniforms watch on. One of them steps past the crowd to stand right in front of me. Way too close if I'm being honest. He's really tall, so I have to stare up to look at him. What's your name, girly? I'm Minseo Kim. Nice to meet ya. I spin and make my favorite pose, but not as cheerfully as I'd like to. This guy doesn't look happy to see me. You know you're on our turf, don't you? Turf? What is he talking about? The soccer field is that way, if that's what you mean. A few of the guys behind him laugh at my answer for some reason. After throwing a stare back to silence them, he cracks his neck and turns back to me. You think you're funny? Sometimes. Let's get right to the point. You cheated one of my crew in a bet match. Now you face the wrath of the Goon clan. This guy's gotta go. He's super gross. This whole clan is gross. I challenge you to a best of 7. It's time someone exposed you as the fraud you are, and this time you won't be able to hide behind your little friend. In the end, he challenges her to a StarCraft match. It's like Beyblade or something. No. What did you say? I don't accept. What do you mean you don't accept? You can't just not accept. I don't wanna. I refuse. The guy stares at me while the crowd behind him breaks into muffled whispers. Do you know who I am? I am Wan Gun, Demon King of Gun, and feared by clans everywhere. I'll ruin your reputation on AC Inside. Okay. You won't be able to show your face online ever again. Okay. Behind him, the whispers grow increasingly concerned. You're ducking? Just like that? It's because you know you'll lose, isn't it? Yes. Okay, I'm gonna go now. Bye. I turn and skip away without another word. After a block or so, I turn down the street to Golden Zone Fire and catch the group out of the corner of my eye. He's yelling at them. Poor guys. This is what bullying is? I'm here. Minseo makes her arrival known the instant she steps through the door. I can only spare half-second look, given the preparation I still need to make for Jet's imminent attack. I sense her presence between my left shoulder and then my right. Oh, who's winning? Me. So she thinks. A moment later, I face off with an unreal number of Hydralisks. Bad timing for a boast. I sniffed out her 2 base attack early enough, but her macro is simply too on point. She makes short work of my front line and ends the game soon after. Losing sucks. Facts. Why don't you just make lurkers like a normal person? Your all-ins are so unpolished. Because that's what you wanted me to do, and that's precisely why you weren't expecting one. Not a bad read. She shows a grin until Minseo cuts between us with the stars in her eyes. Ah, Jet is so tricky. One time back in school, she told me that she was going to a vaccine concert with a college guy, but then I saw her dancing in one of the live MV's crowd shots all by herself. Minseo! Minseo jolts upright, realizing she may have said too much. She glances back to me with a clarification. Oh, sorry. The song was boosted, so it's only natural she'd dance whether or not she had a date. Jet sinks into her chair, doing the best she can to mask the embarrassment on her face. I should help out. I like Boosted, though I prefer Panic and Fire Fired. Oh, you like Vaccine too, someone. I can't wait for their new album next month. I love to put on their music videos while I study. Jet manages to regain her scowl, nose wrinkled and aimed at Minseo. Club practice is over already? Don't tell me that you guys aren't going over replays like I used to force you all to. Oh, we totally are. Just today's was a rush build, so it was fast. Yeah, everyone's learning so much. Really? What match did you guys watch? A sound dies in Minseo's throat, her expression frozen as the gears turned in her head. Locke versus Fierce, game 5 of the finals, yeah. Oh, that was a great game. Fierce had such a bad start. It's crazy that he pulled off the win. Totally, yes, I agree with that, with what you're saying for sure. That was a game where Locke proxied. That a Star League final came down to a knife fight like that is unusual. That's right. What did you think about Fierce's defense from a Protoss perspective? He didn't overreact, which was always a good thing, but I think he cuts it too close with how he kept making probes. He did? Didn't you say that you just watched the match at club practice? It was smart of Locke to recognize that he had to go for a tie. He had so much space to navigate, but the few times his Marines got isolated really hurt him. All he needed was that final probe kill, just one more shot. I'll admit that I was on the edge of my seat at the end there. I practiced that rush with him tons of times, though that particular situation never came up. I wish he'd won. Fair enough. What conclusion did the club come to, Minseo? Well, you know, all the stuff that someone said. The club's dead, isn't it? I'm sorry, Jet, I didn't want to tell you! Minseo rushes to Chaeyoung's side and wraps her arms around her. Jet puts an end to Minseo's sputtering apology with a few pats. It's really not a big deal. It is though, I wish I'd been able to keep it together, but I'm not good enough at the game and I'm not a great leader. Look on the bright side, you've got the fact that you're a club leader on your transcript, but you don't have to put real work into it. You're not helping. And you've got us to teach you how to play StarCraft. Jet raises an eyebrow. Better, but not enough to earn her approval. Oh, that's right. Playing. Okay, what are we gonna learn today? How about the fundamentals behind expansions? Most new players struggle with understanding that. What do you think, Jet? Actually, yeah, whenever we play 2v2s, she always stays on one base. It's hard to focus on 2 bases at once. And even harder to focus on 5. Good thing you didn't choose Zerg. It was my second choice. Okay then, Minseo, what do you know about expansions and when to take them? Well, most pro gamers take 3 or 4 in a normal match. It depends on the map and the matchup too. I get the feeling that an expansion is a big risk that pays off over time. That's not a bad way of putting it. Building an expansion temporarily hurts your ability to make an army. In exchange, you can support an even larger army once the base is up and running. Expansions dictate the game's tempo. When to attack and defend are defined by moments of strength and weakness, and those are often determined by base timings. So basically, I should only take an expansion if I think I won't lose in the next 2 or 3 minutes? Sure, one way of putting it. Nostromo, Hiei, welcome to the stream. Yes, they are talking about StarCraft. This game is about StarCraft pro gamers. Okay, but this makes you wonder, if it's that hard to defend an expansion, how are people ever able to make them in the first place? Defender's Advantage. Is that the name of a new map? It's just what it sounds like. The defender has the advantage against an attacker, since it takes less time for their units to reach the battle. Ah, look at this diagram. Also, the attacker has to scout to know they can and should attack. That takes time too. Even if your army is a little smaller and you aren't producing quite as fast, it's still possible to win an engagement due to defender's advantage. I get it, and defensive structures like cannons and bunkers help a lot too. right? Yeah, sunken colonies are absolutely necessary to defend against Terran cheeses and all-ins. Your natural expansion is the first one you take. Okay, so the name of the first expansion, natural expansion, it's called that because it's almost always the expansion location closest to your main base, and therefore one you should naturally take. Yep, I already knew that. I must be a natural. Expansions contribute to most of StarCraft's intense challenge. A game where everyone is only on one base wouldn't be very strategically or mechanically deep. Every player has limited APM and attention, so we're constantly making calls like whether to prioritize a battle or reinforcements. Players who can efficiently manage 4 bases at once basically win by default against those who can't once the game goes late. That doesn't sound very fun. StarCraft is more exciting when it's decided by cool strategies or micro. It's fine if you don't want to focus on macro, at least for now, but you'll have to find your edge somewhere else. I don't agree. She'd steamroll bad players with good macro. She's right, of course, but it's not something that's exciting to hear about a game that Minseo probably already finds daunting. Last thing, you probably know this from all the pro matches you've seen, but Zerg always wants to be at least a base up on Terran and Protoss. Since Zerg produces units with larvae, the more hatcheries they have, the better. Zerg units are good at establishing map control early, but generally are weaker in a straight up fight. Protoss also want to expand before Terran, but not in the same way as Zerg. We can stay on equal bases as long as we establish ours first. A maxed out Terran army is usually too hard to fight if you don't already have an advantage going into the late game, so we usually take small risks early to prevent a challenging situation later. Wow, so much information. I'm gonna need to write it all down. Minseo turns around and digs through her book bag set behind her station. When she pops back up, it's with a notepad in hand. Seriously, note-taking? What are we, back in high school? No way, it's fun and a great way to study. You agree too, don't you, Bolt? Sure, helps you learn it the first time and gives you a resource to go back and check if you're feeling lost. Exactly, that actually gives me a great idea. If you get the chance, can you write down anything you think is important for me to learn? I could do that for you, yeah. Just don't make things complicated for Sungwon. There's enough for us to keep up with as it is. I won't, promise. Most StarCraft players have the ability to read into subtle cues, some stronger than others. The casters have taken to calling it star sense. It wouldn't surprise me if you could tell when there's a good time to bring up a topic to someone. If that happens, something might appear above the text box like this. So we got mechanics here. That might be a good time to present one of the topics in your notes. You don't have to, but you probably should. If you don't, then it'll just go away on its own and life will proceed as normal. Who's helping who here again? We're all helping each other. How awesome is that? See, you didn't present anything, so your star sense went away. But for right now, I have to insist that you at least try it, so that we're sure you know how it works. Sorry, I don't actually know anything special about that. Oh, I shouldn't expect you to, sorry. It's kind of like Phoenix, right? It's fine, try a red highlighted term next time. So anyway, pretty neat, right? If you want to present another topic, you can do so now. A PC bang. Bong. Pronounced with a long A, like bong. We're at one right now. It's PC bong. All this time, they didn't tell us how to pronounce it. It only costs a little money per hour to use the computer. There are hundreds or maybe even thousands of PC bongs in Seoul. So anyway, pretty neat, right? If you want to present another topic, you can do so now. KPGA? The Korean Pro Gamer Association. It's a big government-linked organization that's in charge of esports in South Korea. They're connected to every big esport, and since StarCraft's the biggest, they deal with it a lot. If you want to play StarCraft in a big league, you have to get a pro license. The KPGA can revoke it if you're a scoundrel. You can basically think of them like the NBA or NFL in America with government ties. They're monstrously sized these days. It's amazing seeing how much they grow. They're a monstrous organization, that's for sure. Jet seems to have like a grudge against them. So anyway, pretty neat, right? If you want to present another topic, you can do so now. Military service? What else? Oh, there's characters, log, Minseo, Jet. He's the ace on CHV Renown. After 4 years as a pro gamer, he's really good and has tons of fans. I'd say he's either the best or second best player to play StarCraft right now. Yep, Lock's strong, no argument there. Sorry that you got cut, Sungwon. I hope that you two can still be friends. Flexible, I see. Just make sure you present something that's relevant. If you're dealing with someone who doesn't have a lot of patience, they might not like it if you bring up a bunch of stuff that they don't think applies to them. Don't look at me like that. Wait. That's Jet. She's my friend and a former pro gamer. We hang out after school. Her real name is Chae Young Sung. I love her. Oh my god, Minseo. I love you too. So, anyway, pretty neat, right? If you want to present another topic, you can do so now. Flexible, I see. Okay, we can just like skip this. Why don't you see if you can find a few matches online, Minseo? Oh, okay, I'll totally crush my opponents with my new knowledge of expansions for sure. With a thumbs up, Minseo flies into the sea and buries her ears in a pair of headphones. If she were any closer to the screen, her nose might be touching it. Jet turns away from her slight smile and shakes her head. And a shake of her head. Got a sec? Plenty, till I find a team. This about that? No, well, not necessary. You know ICG? International Cyber Games? What about it? I've been thinking about going. What? Why? A few reasons, one of which is to compete. If I'm not giving up on StarCraft, I should eventually try to win something, no? You should be trying to find a place on a KPGA team. XSL is the only team that matters. More of this. You realize how close-minded you sound when you say that, right? We've won ICG every year. More often than not, it's 2 Koreans in the final. Why waste the money traveling when you can find the same level of competition at home? Then you're not interested? I didn't say that. No, you just wanted another chance to spout off more Patriot Sungwon nonsense. You can be pretty mean, did you know that? Jet throws her arms up and turns away, and then backs towards me so quickly that it looks like she just randomly walked in a circle. You can pride yourself on our country's esports achievements once you've contributed to them. I'm seriously sick of hearing about your crush on the KPGA. Just then, the sound of the cafe's door slamming open earns not only mine and Chaeyoung's attention, but practically the rest of the cafe's as well. A dozen similarly dressed high school-aged guys filter up the stairs and into the cafe. They're tailed by one far taller than the rest. Oh, these are the goons. There she is. Chaeyoung unzips her jacket, stretches out her right arm as she steps forward to intercept the familiar high schooler. Minseo's busy with her ladder game, remains blissfully unaware. Wait, Jet? From the other day, that was you? Wait a second, you were the one playing? Yeah, was that not clear? Holy shit. Guys, I got to play against Jet. The group's leader winces, somewhere between surprise and distraught. Despite the presence of a bona fide StarCraft celebrity standing before him, he shoves his clan member back and points sharply at Miseo. This girl dishonored one of my clan members, and dishonor the Goon clan does not abide. Your clan name is Goon? Jet throws a look my way. I pull her towards me and tell her its English meaning. Oh my god, seriously? All he can do in the face of Jet's growing laughter is stare. By the time Jet's finished collecting herself, Miseo spins a full circle and a half in her seat stretches out. A circle and a half in her seat and stretches out. Phew, I almost won, but then I noticed all my probes were dead. What did you guys think? Oh look, these guys again. We're getting our match. Nope. Then Goon glances first to Jet. He knows he's completely outmatched considering the skill level of anyone licensed by the KPGA, so of course he looks to me. You then, if you aren't afraid to throw down with one Goon, then prove it. Defend your friend. Jet laughs even louder than before, doubling over with her sides clutched. Nobody recognizes me. Ever. Yes, that's a great idea. Sungwon, why don't you? Oh god. You shouldn't. Baffled but belligerent, he takes a step towards me. Well? Sure buddy, but let's make it quick. Of the many ways I could destroy this oaf, Proxy Shuttle Reaver seems the most fun. Let's see you defend against this. This guy's name, I feel like I've seen it somewhere. Oh, that's not a surprise. He is... Shh, let's try to enjoy this. I finish ferrying my dragoons over the cliff, guarding his base and moving forward. This attack would be capable of testing someone as strong as Locke. Predictably, he panics, with zealots breaking through the front to handle his tank, and dragoons chasing down his marines. My Reaver is free to take aim wherever it pleases. Boom, tank down, and those SUVs are next. Now we're talking. With a crippled economy and lacking Goliath or missile turrets, there's almost nothing he can do to turn this around. Let me finish defangling him so I can have a little more fun. Just one more shot. Haha, perfect. With my reinforcements on the way, that just leaves one thing to do. 1 second, I need a drink. By the time I'm back from the vending machine, I see a Terran base totally destroyed behind the victory screen. One slams a fist on the desk and his Goon clanmates stare in awe. That's Bolt? Who would have thought they were both pro gamers? So, we good? After a long pause, Juan jolts upright with a snarl. Hell no, that little brat was the one who owes us a match, not you two. Give us a game or suffer disgrace on message boards all over the internet. Nope. The clan behind Juan sighs collectively, prepared to accept defeat. Defiantly, he chews over an idea silently before turning back towards his crew. He whispers, then turns towards us with a grin. The rest of his clanmates share the expression. Then you leave us no choice. Until you accept our rematch, we're turning this cafe into the headquarters of Clan Goon. At once, the Goons form a line at the clerk's desk and pay for PC time one by one. Smoke seems no more interested in the dozen or so new customers than he did in our conflict. The clan returns shortly, choosing stations that encircle our 3 setups. Shouting and table shaking reign supreme for the next hour. We do our best to ignore their attempts to irritate us. In the middle of a close game between me and Jet though, one of the clan members shuffles behind me. Hey dude, she hid an expansion in the top left. I turn and stare at him. Jeff does too, though she looks more like she wants to strangle him. He runs off with a grin and throws a fist bump at another goon. Even though they're putting work into intentionally annoying us, it's clear that the majority of them are having fun or playing games on their own. Screw this, let's go to another cafe. One barks a laugh from across the room and shakes his head at me. Go ahead, we're happy to reallocate until you meet our demands. You guys must truly have no lives. Don't blame us, blame your friend. She's the one that won't give us a rematch. This is my fault. Don't listen to them. I'm sure they'll eventually lose interest. But it's really important for you and Jet to practice. Let's get out of here. We can eat early before you have Hagwon. Oh, the cram school. Okay. Oops. But Minseo doesn't budge. With uncharacteristic intensity, she aims to stare across the room at Juan. If I win, you have to promise you'll leave us alone and say you're sorry. Ha, fine. And when I win, you guys have to give this place up to Clan Goon. How's that? You're on. This Sunday at noon, one game, right here. Are you sure about this, Minseo? I'm a StarCraft player. Why should I be afraid of a challenge? The club deserves a competitor as their leader, like you, Jet. Juan's grin spreads ear to ear. With a flick of his wrist, gestures for his clanmates spread out across the cafe. See you soon. He turns his back and departs. When the Goon clan is gone, Cheung falls into a chair and spins it towards me. Teach her how to two-gate. Too obvious. We glance up at Minseo to find her staring down and mumbling at something in her hand. When she notices us, she straightens up and forces a fierce expression onto her face. Teach me how to play standard. Juan wasn't great, but he had basic competency throughout the early and mid-game. It takes most people a few weeks to get there. Knowing that, do you still want to go for a macro win against him? How about something that's strong and easy but isn't a cheese? There's barely anything that fits that description. Maybe a Nexus first into Mass Gateways? You'll have tomorrow and Saturday morning to practice. It's gonna be a lot of work. With you guys with me, I'm ready for it. Good. You need to go to Hagwon soon, yeah? Oh yeah, time to go. Minseo hustles to collect her things before heading out. She offers us a wave and a twirl before hopping down the stairs. Looks like she's starting to take the game seriously. I know what she's feeling right now, but to stand up for what's right, you need power. We'll give her some over the next few days. Neither of us sit back down at our stations. A pause and we share a glance. Want to go? Do something? Sure. The XSL round of 16 starts tonight. We could watch it someplace. How about live? It's early enough that we can still get good seats. Oh, well, I don't know. I scratch behind my head and glance away, but Jet's too keen. You'll have to go back eventually. The sooner the better if you're trying to keep your name out there. I can't help but feel she's talking past me. Doesn't make it any easier. It's low pressure. We'll just be there to watch, okay? Yeah, okay. Cheung and I stand shoulder to shoulder on our way up the escalator. The 6th floor of the Coex Mall waits at the end of our ride. On top of the league meetings and fan events, this is where pro gamers come for weekly one-on-one and team matches. I've probably been to this studio no less than 50 times in the past year, and not once in the past week. How long's it been for you? A while. Since you were on Shock T1 then. She's got to feel my stress tenfold, and to think she convinced me. You'll get stuck signing autographs if we don't find our seats right away. Good thing you don't have to worry about anything like that. The relatively small arena sits about 50 or so spectators. The TV station in charge of XSL's broadcast holds league matches here up to the semi or grand finals. Huge Star League finales have been held everywhere from concert halls to aircraft hangars with live audiences in the tens of thousands, but the average everyday match takes place right here in front of a few dozens. Any idea who's playing tonight? I don't respond, instead searching out the answer on the massive screen ahead. Locke stands with Coach Park near the front of the gate. He and three others play today to see who moves on to the top 8. Chaeyoung says something to me, but I don't hear it. When Locke turns his head towards the crowd, I duck towards Jet. It's Kijun. I can't believe I forgot his games for today. Hope he's done nursing his second place hangover. She looks forward to catch sight of Locke only to find he's gone backstage. What are you so anxious for? I have nothing but fond memories of my time on CHB Renown. I only wish they lasted longer or that I'd have worked just a little bit harder, you know? For all of our ribbing, she knows when to hold back. Sure, yeah, I know what you mean. That reminds me, what was it like playing on Shock T1? I heard their team house is really nice. Ha, well maybe now. Back then I'm not so sure. I heard you even had a maid service, and everyone knows about Shock T1's special practice room. Or was that after you'd already left? It's all ancient history. The only team house I want to think about is the one I'll be moving into when I'm signed. I catch Jet stealing a few glances my way as spectators begin to fill up the rest of the studio. Whatever's gnawing at her eventually conquers her reticence. Did you actually watch my games? The televised ones? Of course. Even got my parents to watch with me a few times. They thought I was lying about you up until that first shot of you in the booth. Your parents let StarCraft into the house and I had to go and lose? Huh? My bad. Don't worry, it was more about forcing them to witness that you'd made it. An electric guitar chord washes over the crowd, and puts our reminiscing to an end. Looks like it's time for the matches to start. Kijun emerges from backstage when the announcers shout his name to a chorus of cheers. How's his TVT these days? Probably his worst matchup, though not by much. Believe it or not, he can be impulsive and a little stubborn. Not a good combination for a siege tank standoff. She turns away with a thoughtful expression, one I remember well from our days of figuring out builds that these days have long been standard. The game gets underway without much more fanfare. Locke's fans chant in unison as the map loads up. Locke moves on after a dominant performance. I should expect nothing less. There's still matches to watch between other players, but I feel too restless to wait for them. Sorry, I'll be back. Chae-young's gaze follows me when I stand and brush my way past her. Aside from the occasional normal patron of the mall, the area outside the studio is mostly empty. That's good, considering where I'm headed. A hallway reserved for employees and players waits opposite to the doors to the studio. When two middle-aged KPGA officials emerge, I step past them like I belong. I maintain my forward pace. It's only when I stop that I'm noticed by either Coach Park or Locke. Then the adrenaline that drove me to stand at the spot sputters away. Oh, Songhwan, hello. Coach. I take it you're hard at work as usual. What brings you back here? Sorry, I was here to watch Locke's game and I wanted to say something since I'm here. Do you mind? Oh, sure. I'll see you at the van, Kijun. Coach Park excuses himself with a nod. When he's gone, Locke and I are the only people standing in the hallway. The sound of the studio rumbles through the wall on my left. Sounds like the last game is getting started. I didn't expect you to be here. I forgot that you were playing today, but I'm glad I was here to see it. That girl you're with, that's Cheong Song, isn't it? Someone else might doubt your pledge to remain steadfast in this profession when they see you along a person like Jet. I know what people think of her, but her drive for the game is infectious. I see what they don't. Hell, I think she's flirting with the idea of a Chinese tournament just to compete again. Even you couldn't convince me that she doesn't belong in the league, Hyung. Then I will trust your judgment and say no more. Do you remember what I said to you at the team house? You were a good practice partner, but if you don't aspire to more than that, then why bother? Look where it's left you. He lifts his chin as if to say, this is it. The two of us, alone in a hallway, distant from the limelight. The day I refuse to admit my mistakes is the day I stop improving. But why did Coach Park cut me, Kijung? I performed well for an amateur. I wonder if he actually wanted Bolt to get cut so that Bolt becomes like a player on his own instead of just a practice partner. You're satisfied with that? That when you spend every waking hour playing or thinking about this game, you have to justify your performance? You don't need the answer to every question. What good is there in concerning yourself over what you can't change? Behind his glasses, I can feel his eyes soften. Pity or apology? You work hard, Sung-han, as hard as a gifted player can be expected to. But you can't let hard work justify failure. Not once have I stopped believing that we only earn what we are due. Even if we didn't, it wouldn't change a thing for you or for me. Do you dream of a championship, Sung-han? Every day, Hyung. Then go win something. The team is waiting on me. Goodbye, Sung-han. He turns. I run my hands down my face and head back towards the mall. What did I expect to come from this? I must seem like a complete tool. Soon enough, the crowd filters out of the studio and back into the mall. Among them, I see a displeased Chaeyoung. Really cool of you to leave me alone. You know how many randos came up after you left? I want to know more about the ICG. Did you hit your head or something? No, I just thought it might be a good idea if we went. You came to an epiphany that it's okay to face. What did you call them again? Irrelevant foreign chobos. More like how to get on KPGA's team radar. But Sungwon, what about dishonorable non-Koreans polluting the sanctity of esports? It's pointless for me to respond. I give her the victory with a shrug. It's 2 weeks from now, in China, some southern coastal city. The tournament has an open bracket alongside a few seeded invites. And it's not just StarCraft, by the way. Every popular esport, plus a few others, is at this event. StarCraft? Warcraft 3? Yeah, some shooters and fighting games too. And whatever sponsored garbage they've got this year. Garbage? What do you mean? You know, some random game studio sees StarCraft and their marketing guy goes, oh, that could be us, so they sink $500,000 into turning their game into an esport. And fail. Miserably. Always. I don't know about that, no. Well, it's good to learn the score, so you don't get screwed up. I'll be sure to turn down any shady offers to play phone games for a living then. See, you get it. Chaeyoung and I went our separate ways at the subway station. She said she'd take care of arrangements for ICG, though it'd keep her from showing up at Golden Zone Fire until later tomorrow. Any questions I had about cost and flights, she simply shrugged off. Jet's not exactly responsible, but she is reliable. I'll trust her to figure this out for me. Just as I'm about to open the door to my apartment, I hear the sound of something shatter down the hallway. My curiosity gets the better of me, and when I go to investigate, I find my neighbor staring at the ground. Big ceramic shards litter the common room floor, most likely from a plate, alongside bits of beef and cabbage. It looks like she hasn't moved since she dropped it. Everything okay? It takes almost a full 5 seconds before she glances up at me. When she does, it's with a deep sigh. I dropped my food. I can see that. You need any help or... No, I'll get it. Long day or something? Yes, absolutely. I'm going to fail the CSAT. It's hard to find a quick response to that. In the interim, she drops her shattered plate into the trash piece by piece, each punctuated by a word. All I do is study. Technically, it's impossible to fail, and if you're studying hard enough to live here, I can guarantee you'll do alright. I'm not lying. It takes serious dedication to one's grades or extremely overbearing parents to endure months of Goshowan life. If you went through the same thing, why aren't you in college? I have to get into an American university or my parents are going to kill me. Do you know what it's like? I open and shut my mouth and then step down the hall to grab something out of my room. An admission letter with a big heading familiar to most college-bound students at the top. I hide the details of the bottom half as I display it at her. Do you know this university? Of course, it's one of my reach schools. If I get in with a scholarship, My parents said I can have any graduation present I want. Last year, I deferred my enrollment because I was invited to play StarCraft professionally on CHB Renown. I'm here because they cut me. Oh, well. I've seen the Star Wars commercials on XPC. StarCraft. Trust me when I say that I know what it's like. You didn't go to university? To get into a school like that, you have to work so hard, want it so bad. I wanted StarCraft more. Why? I bet your parents want to strangle you. Not like actually, you know what I mean. They're still upset with me, yes. I don't blame them. Any tips you wish you knew in retrospect? Like what, study techniques? How much sleep you got, the music you listened to, the food you ate? I don't want to get stuck giving every detail of the life I left behind. I turned back towards my room. Start off by keeping it on your plate. I'm trying. Sorry, I don't think our team needs another pro toss. Well, I'll mention it to my coach and let you know if he's interested. If you can go without salary, you can join as a practice partner. Sound good? After a morning spent bouncing between apartments and cafes, I'd stand exhausted with my back to the golden zone fire. This isn't working. Teams like good players, but what they want are stars. As long as I have no name recognition, no one's going to clamor for me, and I can't expect that to change until I beat someone strong in a real series. Maybe I should put off my search until the end of ICG. If I can make it deep into the tournament, at least until I fight another KBGA player, it surely raised my profile. But what if I lose to a foreigner? I get known, that's for sure. AC Inside wouldn't let me live it down. What am I saying? That's impossible. The only foreigner to touch us was Ag, and that was a fluke. Anders Hansen, a foreign Zerg player who was both the first and last non-Korean to win a Star League. He fought his way through XSL in 2000 all on his own or so, he claims. No real team or coaches, just a ragtag foreign clan and an unreal star sense. In many ways, the system we have now was built as a response to him. Though he didn't stick around to test us, there's no way he could have beat us now. He was strong, but I'll never forgive him for beating KDG into retirement. I can't imagine why old school KPGA pros speak fondly of him. As I step past the counter on my way into the cafe, I catch the clerk staring at me. He doesn't drop his gaze until I'm out of sight behind a PC. I find Mizio scrolling through photos of pro gamers. Looks like she's updating one of her fan sites. She spots me when I turn the corner, acknowledging me with a wave as I take my seat besides her. Sohan, I was gonna wait until you got here to practice. I hope that's okay. Is it alright for you to miss your club like this? Oh, well, it's just for a few days, so it should be fine. Then let's get to work. Try to remember some of the basics of TVP. Right, I have to expand first. I have to play defense, and then go on offense. I have to outmaneuver mines and a big mech army. I want to play like Fierce. He's so much fun to watch. Then let's prepare one of his standard openings. This should hold an early attack if you play it right. We dive right into the guts of one of Fierce's standard build orders after grabbing a rare public replay from his fan site. I make Minseo write down the timings of everything that he produces and when he starts to cut probes. The basic idea behind this build is to get a Dragoon and then an expansion. There's a lot of nuance that I don't have time to teach Minseo, but I've got to cover as many important points in the short time that we have. We still need to work on the second half of your game plan against Juan, but for the rest of today, I want you to practice the build up to around 30 supply and then restart. What? But that sounds so boring. Executing your build fast will help you more than anything else I can teach you in 2 days. A 5-second supply block can slow your Dragoon range upgrade by 30. Okay, I can do it. Minseo does genuinely have a knack for StarCraft. Her passion for the game, even if it mostly as a fan, gives her an edge over most newcomers. The first few attempts don't go well. Multiple supply blocks, late workers, and subpar building placement slow down her race for the 30 supply mark substantially. Even though each attempt is only a few minutes long, it's not until an hour in that she finally has a decent run. An expansion, a few units, and Dragoon range, all primed to send her into a mid-game victory. Her execution is still far from perfect, but improving from here is mostly just shaving down the edges, though I might have to tone down the complexity for her mid-game strategy. This is so stressful, even when I'm not facing a real person. Tiny errors pile up fast. Welcome to StarCraft. In any case, let's talk a little bit about what to do if Juan attacks you early. Aw, come on, let me take a little break. And do what? Are you hungry or something? Actually, I wanted to ask you about something. You've got to tell me what goes on backstage at Star League. Do the players know most of their fans by name? Do they eat or throw away the food we bring? What do they think about fan chants? Backstage, mostly just talking and warm-ups. They do your hair and makeup if you're playing that day. The gifts depends on the player. Usually pros that don't get as much attention tend to cherish it more. For example, Locke got too many requests and gifts at the meetups to pay attention to them all, and he shares his food with the team. I've never heard anyone give an opinion about a fan chant, but you can hear and feel the loudest ones from inside the booth, which can either be motivating or intimidating. Seriously, life as a pro gamer is about what you'd expect. We practice, sleep, exercise, and attend matches. That's pretty much it. I'm surprised Jet hadn't told you all about it. When Jet first got signed, pro gaming was practically all she'd talk about. But by the next school year, she barely said anything, which is weird because she was practicing more than ever. To be totally honest, I think our StarCraft club was only so popular because our classmates wanted to say they were on a team with a pro gamer. Does she know that? I think you know her better than I do, so I feel like I can be honest, and she knows you well too. It's just something I can tell when I see you two together. We're curt to one another, sure. Not that, even though it's funny to watch you guys fight. Jet and I were close once, but it's probably not fair to say that I know her well anymore. People change. Well, okay, but I call it as I see it. I appreciate your perspective. Now let's get back to work. Whew, let's do this. I would not have wooed if I knew that you were going to make me do that build another 20 times. After almost 24 attempts to get a fast expansion and a Dragoon out, Minsail slumps against the desk with her face on the keyboard. Her errors are numerous and glaring, but for as little experience as she has, Minsail performs pretty damn well. I can teach you a quick cheese build instead if you want. Well, no, the thing I want most of all is to have a real match. I want Juan to know in his heart that he lost fair and square. Among most competitors, that's considered flawed thinking, but there's a truth to our fan culture's belief that only an honorable macro game counts as a real win. It's about time for Minseo to head off to cram school when Jet arrives. She looks almost as tired as she does satisfied. Who's the greatest, Seungwon? I want to hear you say it. Did you want me to say it to you? You don't have to say it. You also don't have to join me for ICG Zhuhai. I'll just give this plane ticket reimbursement to Minseo instead. He's your sponsor. Hey, Seungwon, do me a favor. Try saying thank you. I hear it can be cathartic. Alright, thank you. You're welcome. Minseo shoots me a knowing smile over Jet's shoulder as she takes her leave. After a few hours of duels, Jet and I cap the evening off with a walk around the nearby park. The games I've had with her these past few days have been just as competitive and a lot more fun than the practice I had on CHB Renown. If everything goes according to plan for a practice partner, you lose every game. Normally, the chances to hone your choice of matchups and builds are few and far between. Locke was better to work under than most in that regard, but if I'm honest with myself, I was improving less than if I had had a practice partner of my own. Have you been paying attention to the news about StarCraft 2? Some of my teammates were invited to test it and give feedback. We had a long debate about multi-building select and unlimited controlled groups one night. I'm skeptical, but I'll reserve judgment until I play it for myself. But that isn't really what I was asking about. Well, VCL will switch over and there will be plenty of money to win, but if the KPGA isn't involved, I doubt the fans will care. Some might, and obscure pro gamers will take whatever chance they can to break out. It's probably going to fracture the scene. There will always be people who play Brood War. That's true, but will we always have this? Cheong and I, and every other esports fan for that matter, share the same nervous excitement from watching StarCraft find its way into the Korean mainstream over the past 5 years. The idea that someone can turn on the TV on any given night and see a video game played competitively has and maybe always will seem too good to be true. Unsuccessful players drop out of the league and retire earlier every year. Like Locke said, it's not something we can take for granted. Just go pro in whatever comes next. Not like it can be any tougher than Brood War, right? That's for sure. We make our way around the lake's edge. A kaleidoscopic swirl of city lights reflect off its glassy surface. My pace slows as I stare into it. When I turned away from what was expected of me, I found so many possibilities waiting. A moonlit walk around a park wasn't part of my old life's equation. I'll lose moments like these if I can't earn my place in all this. Would you still play StarCraft like this if we couldn't make a living from it? I'm not sure. A decade ago, pro gamers slept, huddled on floors, and ate cup noodles for every meal. As much as I want to believe I'd have been there with them, I don't think that's true. I love to compete, but I want more than that for myself. Those guys suffered so that more of us can live with dignity if we work hard. That's what it means to be a pro gamer. If anything, I'm jealous that I wasn't around back then. I don't play this game for money. No one should, but some of us couldn't be here without it. You have what most pro gamers don't, Sungwon. Plan B. I wish I had that peace of mind. And I wish I had your passion. Don't say that. You wouldn't if you knew what it meant. Who says I don't? And yet, I find myself without an easy retort. Nobody gives up what you did without a reason. It's okay not to understand why. I struggle with this stuff all the time too. But I do want to hear you try. Why do any of us spend our lives on something so uncertain and unstressful? I really did think I could spend the rest of my life as nobody on CHB Renown and live happily. It wouldn't have lasted, trust me on that. Your best days aren't behind you, that's a fact. And it wouldn't change a thing for people like you or me if it wasn't. Yeah, well put. I should be thankful that I have someone to talk about what I regularly torment myself with. If we can survive and build towards something, why shouldn't we? It's that second part that's hard. We don't know if the time we spent on StarCraft will be worth anything in the future. I agree. Pro gamers can't pretend that they'll have a job coaching or managing when they age out. But even if we're not building a career, the best of us are at least building something. If it's not a following, then it's something else that'll help us when we're done playing video games for a living. I want to believe that more than you can imagine. Should I just ask about everything? I don't think this is relevant. What about Minseo? That I found you in a PC bang of all places proves your dedication to the game. The scam you were running with Minseo was only a means to that end. It doesn't take anything special to spend all day playing games in a PC bang. Next time we're in Golden Zonefire, take a look at the patrons and tell me if you see grit and guts. The money I was winning from those kids and the time I got to spend with Vincent was just a bonus to a different fact. I don't know what else to do. I spent the better part of my life learning StarCraft and I'm just supposed to give that up? I know that feeling. But when you say that, it sounds like you're scared of moving on. It's not that. Even an aimless year like the one I've spent since I've left Shock T1 can be satisfying as long as I learn something every day. But all I cared to study was StarCraft. Something about this game is just in my nature. If I have anything else to say to her, now's my last chance. 7 Kings? You and I dream of a championship. Everything else is built on that foundation. That's true, but it's also vague nonsense. It's like dreaming that one day you'll be president. I don't know about you, but I only want what I already know. Put it in one word. Victory, not the prize. The act of lifting myself over my obstacles and opponents. Nothing can beat the rush. It just happens continued victory leads to the same thing that everyone wants. That doesn't answer why we play StarCraft. You can win at almost anything. Hell, salespeople and lawyers fight battles just like pro gamers. Maybe it's the only thing that either of us can win at right now at this level. When we're older and our hands move too slow, we'll move on, but only because we have to. That's too cynical to be right, but it doesn't feel wrong. There's no more left, right? Oh, KPGA, Chalk T1. You want to play the game and play it well, but that wasn't the chance you got on Chalk T1. So now, above all else, you want to show everyone who thought of you as no more than a token that they were wrong. You're observant, someone, I'll give you that. At first, I was happy to perform for them. I thought that if I worked hard and did as they said, I'd have the life I wanted. The KPGA didn't care about my skill. They wanted to sell me. When I realized that, I acted out. I have to own my mistakes. The things I said to my opponents and the times I let down my teammates. Don't let it hold you back. You're better than that. I won't. Thank you. You think I'm obsessed to a fault with representing the KPGA's idea of a pro gamer? But I truly respect them for what they've done. We couldn't do this without them. You shouldn't. That they're behind something great doesn't mean that we owe them anything or that another organization wouldn't have done a better job. If you're telling me that you're only in this for clout with the KPGA, then I don't want to hear another word. That's everything I can think of. Even though it's time to move on, I feel like I must have just learned something worthwhile. Regardless of any deeper reasons, there's one truth that keeps us all going. Yeah? What's that? The game is fun. If it wasn't, we'd have given up a long time ago. Hey, want to race? Like a foot race right now? Sprints, from that entrance to that one. Don't give me that look. I thought you were an athlete. I lifted weights with Locke and Yunhu sometimes, but I'm not like I was in high school. But Jet doesn't want to hear it. She leads me out to our starting point, pumping herself by rolling an arm on the way over. But it's late enough that there's only one other person around, a man walking his little dog, so I feel little need to hold back. Let me know if you need me to slow down. She grits her teeth to hide a smile. I hold my stance low, waiting for her to count down. I've got legs like steel springs still on. Watch. We explode forward right away. Jet makes it clear this isn't some friendly jog. She's fast, and there's no way to call her pace anything less than a hard sprint. We pass under a tree and birds skitter out of its branches into the sky. At first, my long legs and natural athletic talent give me a length on Jet. Yet just when I start to pull away, she gains. I spare a sidelong glance, a challenge at this speed. I push a little harder, yet the gap widens in her favor. When we come to a skidding at the halt of the end of the sidewalk, she's a full stride ahead. Ha! Told ya. I double over and suck down a breath. My stamina isn't what it used to be, but I'm far from finished. Again. Count us down. For the distance we need to go, it shouldn't be possible for us to keep up this pace. This hurts. If we wanted exercise, we could get it another way. We might even be able to enjoy ourselves. But when we're racing, all out is the only way I know. With the day left before her match, me and Seo agreed to cut Hagwon to practice all night. Even though Jet is a Zerg player, she's perfectly equipped to give advice at the level me and Seo needs. Plus, she is much better at motivating her friend than I am. Cycle through those gateways. You have idle probes. Watch the minimap. Micro, micro, now macro, macro! Wah! Case in point, 5 hours of Jet's whip cracking has given Minseo some semblance of everything necessary to play StarCraft beyond a beginner level. A build, army control, and base management. God, if I'd known you didn't know this stuff last year. Wait, there are mines there. Watch out. Boom. Minseo gasps and slumps when 5 of her dragoons explode to a pair of unseen spider mines. But instead of giving in to panic, she regains herself and retrieves her observer to clear a path through any of that still may remain. Not too bad. While she's clawing her way back into the random ladder match, I see the clerk gesture for me. That girl paying for lessons for 2 pro gamers? I thought we agreed to mind our own business. Would you even understood if I explained it? How do you think? Listen, kid. Don't act like I got no reason to take a passing interest in you 3 after that big group piled in here the other day. Something on my face gives away my distaste for them. Not that it should have been a secret. If they're no friends of yours, what are they doing showing up here for? They want a bet match with Minseo, so we're helping her train up. So that's what turning my cafe over to them was about. How do you figure that you've got the right to make that call? It wasn't my idea. Can't you just send them away if you don't want them here? And why the hell would I kick a dozen paying customers out? And what are you mad about? If they win, you trade us for them. Fair point. Just don't make any trouble when it's said and done. Whatever you say, Smokes. That ain't my... never mind. He grumbles, falls back into his chair, and buries his nose in an ancient esports magazine. What'd he want? I retake my place at Jet's side to find Minseo's effort has paid off. She's in the middle of breaking the Terran's front with some clumsy, but nonetheless effective 1A, 2A, 3A. Nothing? I'm hungry. How about, we about done here? I'm hungry too. Minseo swivels in her chair and poses, the victory screen on display behind her. That guy was horrible. Never forget that a win is worth way less than good play and tiny improvements. You're so merciless. Just let me celebrate a little. I'll bet Bolt slacked more before his team league matches. Fine. Not true. She's right. The improvements are more important than the win. We choose an alley lined with food stalls for our late night snack destination. It's a little touristy for my taste, but neither Minseo or Chaeyoung seem to mind. My teammates on CHB Renown went out like this sometimes, but usually only after a good performance. Frankly, most of them just didn't have the money to eat out. With a dakochi in hand, I wait off on the side for the girls to decide on what they want. But as I reach for my phone to kill a minute or two, I hear a soft crunch behind me. I turn to find Yuna staring at the ground. A basket of fried chicken sits upturned and spilled out onto the concrete. Why does she keep dropping food? She watches it, motionless and oblivious to the crowd of people around her. Slowly, Yuna reaches down and grasps a drumstick slathered with wet sauce and one side now additionally adorned with grit and gravel. She's gonna throw that out, right? Yuna? Oh, Sohan. This keeps happening and I don't want to wait in line again. Well, that's unfortunate. Whoa, A student Yuna, what's up? I didn't know you knew Sungwon. That's wild. Minseo slams into both me and Yuna and then wraps her arms around both of our shoulders. Just behind her, Jet watches on. It's hard to blame her for bewilderment. Sorry, Minseo, I need to get back in line. Why don't we share my odeng instead? You can have half, but you have to walk and eat with us. After a moment to consider, Yuna nods in agreement and accepts Minseo's torn half with a grunt. Jet takes up the rear, watching the three of us warily. So I heard you're living in a gosh one, huh? Wowzers, you must be really taking exams seriously. How do you have the time to meet a guy like Bolt? Bolt? Who? Me. That's my pro gamer name. What's with the look? My handle is actually cool. That's English? Like a bolt of lightning? I play Protoss after all. I don't know what that means. High Templar have a spell called Psionic Storm that, you know, what? Never mind. That's Jet, by the way. Like a plane? Just someone my dad and I used to listen to. Oh, and mine is Miseo Heart. Miseo speaks the word heart in a simultaneously intense and emotionless way, like a robot desperately failing to hide the fact that it's become sentient. Do you have a handle, Yuna? Even if it's just for email or something like that? Yuna looks a little overwhelmed, but I think she appreciates the effort made to include her. I don't, but if I had to, I'd pick something similar to yours. I'm not great at thinking up names. I bet you could be creative if you wanted to. Not possible, at least until the exam's over. It's like 3 months away, and we'll have a practice one before that. We'll make it, so don't stress. Or else you'll get gray hair. It doesn't decide your life. It kind of does, actually. If you're going to say something like that, what school did you get into? Well, I don't go to college. Yuna stares at Jet as if she just peeled back her face. Her eyes come to life and flick between both Chaeyoung and me. There's two of you. Maybe it's hard for you to understand, but not everyone wants to obsess over the expectations of others. Okay, then what did you get on the CSAT? Why does that matter? At 16, I was making more money than my uncles. And now? How the hell do you know this girl, Sungwon? Whatever, mind your own business, Yuna. It was an honest question, sorry I guess. Miseo hops between the two of them with a sweet smile, enough to soothe the fiery tempers and icy indifference. Don't you remember, Yuna? Chaeyoung was on TV and stuff. Nope. Miseo rummages around her backpack, pulling from it a crinkled magazine that I recognize well. See? That's Jet. Whoa, why do you still have that? Jet leans forward like she wants to snatch the magazine, but Miseo guards it too well. For the record, Jet's right. You have to take risks to get ahead. That's not true. The test almost single-handedly determines what schools you can and cannot get into. Placement at a top-tier university offers life-defining opportunities. I'm not defending how hard it is to obtain those guarantees. I hate it, honestly, but how can she say the test doesn't matter? She didn't say that. In fact, I think people that do poorly and accept their fate as low-ranking members of society deserve what they get. Ooh. But it's wrong to say that you can't find opportunity outside of the narrow path that parents and schools set up for you. It's scary and uncertain, but nothing that'll make you exceptional isn't. Given your CSAT score and seniority, I shouldn't argue, but that isn't insightful. Nothing can change that I'll spend the next few months studying for 12 hours a day. I get by on 10. Just listening to all of this is giving me horrible flashbacks. I'm out of here. Jet throws up a hand and turns into a side street. Minseo looks ready to follow until I put a hand on her shoulder. How mature. It's called passion. You could use a little. Passion, huh? Will it help my score? The tiniest corner of Yuna's lips quiver like she wants to smirk. That or she just bit her tongue on Odang. A loud sound from behind jolts me awake. A scream? Is someone in my room? I fling myself out of bed. Wait a second. I'm not in my bed. Where? We did it! We cleared the rumpus room. Hardest raid in the game. I'm at Golden Zone Fire. It's morning. That can mean only one thing. I fell asleep at a PT bong. Hot blood flows up my neck and into my ears. I can't even begin to describe the shame I'm feeling right now. I remember now. I managed to peel Minseo away with a reminder of her match, and the need to practice for it. I kept waiting for Jet to come back even after Minseo left. When she didn't, I sat down for a game that turned into several, and now here I am, with my new ilk, the overnight PC Bang crew, the lowest of the low. Against the law for kids to stay overnight. I spin to find the PC Bang owner standing over me. He exhales a plume of smoke against the low ceiling. I'm not a kid, and really, you light up this early? I don't think you're in much position to judge. There's no prize for debating my way out of this besides a dirty look. It was an accident, won't happen again. I'll refund the time you spent asleep. Fair? Considering the dirt cheap rates, a refund's worth almost nothing except for the gesture. Fair. Thanks, I guess. Uh-huh. Change of clothes, quick shower, and I'll find my way back to the PC Bang by noon. But as I reach for my key, I find my room's door already slightly ajar. I got a bad feeling about this. I open it to find Jet laying on my bed, with her back to me. When I enter, she reaches out to touch the left wall with one hand and the shower door with another. Even smaller than mine. Explain yourself. Aren't you glad to see me? Jet falls back onto the bed, belly up this time. I asked Minseo where Yuna lives and tricked your front desk into giving away your room. Use the deadbolt next time. Jet flashes her KPGA license between her index and middle finger. I shouldn't be surprised that a Goshomon has weak locks. I'm surprised by how clean you kept this place. Team host life teaches you that, especially if you don't have a maid. Oh, right. Nice pink bedspread, by the way. It was the only one they had. Sure, fine. Still, I'm surprised you weren't here this morning. Did I inspire you to start a morning jog? Not exactly. How long have you been waiting? Wait a second. Jet, patiently waiting for my return with nothing to do but stare at a ceiling? Not that long. Her eyes betray her when she shifts towards the box on my desk. When I take a step towards it, she flinches. But I might have gone through some of your things. I answer with a disapproving stare. She blusters for a moment before pulling it back together. I've had nothing to do but practice faceless drones on ladder and scam kids with Minseo for the past 9 months. Can you blame me for wanting a break from the monotony? For breaking in, you mean? I should really get her back for this. What's something I could use to embarrass Jet? Do you remember all those interview questions they posed to you in Esports Rush? What are you getting at? The one that stood out to me was, who is your choice for the most handsome pro gamer? You said... Stop, I was too eager for my own good back then, alright? There was another good one. Who is your favorite partner for 2v2? And you answered too many. Too many to count. Yeah, I played a lot of 2v2, alright? It was fun at the time. Those memories are precious to me, even if I see it all differently now. You don't have to make me feel bad about it. And you didn't have to break into my room, but here we are. You truly are a bored and lonely girl. She bounces off the bed and towards the door, palming my shoulders to turn me around. You're lucky there wasn't anything I cared to keep private in that box. I'm lucky? What kind of secrets are you keeping these days? You came! See, I told you guys. Whoa, Jet, long time no see. Did you doubt my precious Hubei Jang? Maybe it's Zhang? Not really. I know you've been around, but Minseo has come back with some wild stories recently. They're hard to believe when she always lies about bringing snacks to the club. But behind them, Minseo bonks her own head gently and strikes a charming pose. You're welcome to come see the extent of her training for yourself tomorrow. Sure, maybe. Speaking of, we can't waste time, let's move. Wait, I have one last thing before I end our club meeting. It's been too long since we've gone as a group to an XSL match, so I propose that next Thursday we make a club trip to watch the round of 16. And, if it wouldn't be too much trouble, Bolt and Jet, would you like to join us? Sorry, Minseo. Sunghan and I are traveling to ICG that weekend. But While most of the room focuses on Minseo's exaggerated antics, one of her club members sidles up on my left. So you're a pro gamer too? I nod my answer without looking towards him. I don't really feel like getting into the details right now. That's cool. Gotta say, I've always wondered what kind of guys Chaeyoung hangs out with. Now it makes sense. I don't think she cares if someone's a pro nearly as much as if they're good and have the drive. Huh? I'd have thought pro gamers were her type. Like, that's why she was always at XSL after school, even before she got her license. They probably are. But Chaeyoung went to XSL back then because she liked to play StarCraft. Probably? Are you two not together? This dork's overly familiar abrasiveness doesn't chafe me half as much as his questions, even if I used to obsess about the same thing once. We train together, we're practice partners. Then just friends. If that's how you want to put it, you still have no shot. His eyes widen and he turns away, embarrassed. I barely have time to breathe with all the time I can spend at cram school. Maybe after the practice test. They're not for more than a month. Ugh, you guys are so unreliable. Minseo catches sight of two heads poking through the classroom door. Oh, hiya, you guys interested in our club? But after a second in Jet's gaze, the students wither and flew with a laugh. Come on, Minseo. Hope you got lots of sleep last night. Okay, meeting adjourned. See you guys next Friday. I'll bring snacks, promise. Her clubmates groan as we make our way out. It's happening. We're finally getting to the match. An all-nighter? If you want this match, you need to. StarCraft takes commitment. Are you serious about winning? I want to be. Then make the next 16 hours count. Okay, this is the last grind. Even though teams know about the importance of rest these days, peer pressure and old norms keep practice hours long for most players, even the day before a match. With how new Minseo is to competitive play, there really isn't any other choice. The irony of enforcing that mistake isn't lost on me. Minseo loads into a game with noticeable reluctance. With how hard we've been drilling her, maybe it's time to shake up her practice with something to keep her interested. Hold up. Leave that match and join one against the computer. Okay. What's your favorite Protoss unit? Let me think. Probes, and then carriers, or maybe reavers. They're like big, goofy slugs. I see you go for the robots. I don't blame you. The Zealots and Templar are ugly. They're also extremely strong, but okay, this works out fine. All the units you mentioned have techniques to learn. Macro remains the most important aspect for you to focus on in your game against Juan, but a little micro can't hurt either. Okay. Alright, one of the first things you'll do against Juan or any other Terran is send a probe to scout. When you do that, it's important that you don't lose focus on either it or your base. SCVs have 20 more hit points than a probe. If you attack an SCV and look away for 5 seconds, your scout is done for. On that same token, focus on your scout too much and you'll delay your build. But a probe always wins against an SCV when they fight in XSL matches. That's because SCVs have less range. Both drones and probes can attack SCVs without getting attacked back, but only with strong micro. It's too much to ask that you mastered this trick in a day, but keep in mind the advantage you have when scouting a Terran base. Got it. No way I'm letting Juan kill my precious probes. Carriers next? Do we need to touch in on this? How likely is it that she'll make it that late into the game? In the off chance they do, this will be good to know. It's a useful skill to have. I'm sure you know, but carriers don't fire any shots themselves. They fire tons of interceptors that themselves fire individually. They're so much fun to use. When you have a bunch of carriers, it's super chaotic and loud, and you deal a zillion damage. She pantomimes an interceptor's flight with both hands and mimics the sounds of their shots. True, but the chance you'll get to build that massive number without being attacked in a real game is extremely unlikely, especially when you only have a few carriers you need to hit and run. The carrier is the only unit in the game that can continue to attack while retreating. That's because its attack range is longer than the range where it deploys its interceptors. This trick only works properly with focus fire, not attack move. But with good positioning, you can pick off Goliaths or missile turrets without putting your carriers at risk. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Last up is Reavers. I'm sure you're aware well of how slow they are. Of course, that's why they're cute. I just want to scoop them up with a shuttle and take them where they need to go. Exactly. Shuttles negate Reaver's main weakness. With upgrades to shuttle speed and Reaver damage, those two units alone can sometimes be enough to win a game, but only with strong micro. It's important that you can pick up and drop off the Reaver without the shuttle slowing to a stop. The faster you can get in and out, the better chance you'll land scarab shots, deal damage, and keep the Reaver alive. Don't use the unload command. It forces the shuttle to slow to a stop before it drops the Reaver off. If you press the Reaver icon on the shuttle, it drops instantly. To reload the Reaver into the shuttle, send your shuttle on an escape path that passes over your Reaver, then click it right as it flies over. The shuttle won't slow down and you'll escape much faster. You make it look so easy. This is so much more fun than building a Dragoon really fast. Which is why how little it affects win percentage in comparison to macro is so counterintuitive. So what should I do next? Warm up your build against the AI once or twice and then jump into as many games as you can until you need a break. And don't try to implement all this at once. Got it. I'll do my best. You staying overnight? What? No way, I don't do that. Since when? I wanted to do some replay analysis to prep for ICG. Wait, you'd seriously pull an all-nighter at a PC bong? Every now and then. You don't need to be a dick about it. I'm not trying to be. We can do replay review, that's fine. We don't have to. I want to. I haven't gotten over any matches since I got cut. Your games are mine. Neither. We need to remember how to play on these old maps. Is the ICG map pool bad? How old are we talking? Weird rush distances, open naturals. There's also an island map, nothing as aggressive as pre-Brood War map, but still sketchy. Why the hell don't they run standard maps? Foreigners are so clueless. It isn't ideal, but this is why we prepare. Chaeyoung grabs the arm of my chair and wheels it to her side. I'm putting the replay timer on 4 times speed, don't blink. After a full night of analysis and strategy talk, I stretch out and yawn. Watching replays is never as productive as true practice on its own, but it's critical to strategic breakthrough. What Jet and I agreed on was always useful to know, but it's where we disagreed that we both learned something new. It hadn't ever dawned to me that the mere sight of Protoss units moving towards the Zerg is enough to inflict damage. Given the way that larva works, I'll have to abuse that in our practice games. It's not until I stand and stretch out that I realize the time, not by the light shining through the cafe's single window, but by the sight of a sleeping Minseo. Did we wake her? It must be close to noon. Leave her until I can find some breakfast for her. There's nothing worse than a serious match on an empty stomach. I think there's a snack vending machine downstairs. Yeah, it'll have to do. Minseo isn't the only one asleep. The clerk's weekend part-timer and half a dozen patrons cover their faces with magazines and drool into their station's Q-sen. One of the goons ducks out of sight as soon as I catch him coming up the stairs. But rather than stay hidden, he finds himself pushed back into my point of view, not by clanmate, but by one of Minseo's clanmates. Whoa, hey man, didn't we have a violin together in middle school? I didn't know you were in goon. You were such a dog. You still play? Violin? Not really. Mostly it's just StarCraft these days. Nice, same. I'm here to watch a match for my school's club. Must be against you guys. Move. We need to get set up. Got it. I'll talk to you later, Bin. A few more goon clanmates climb the stairs, shortly followed by Jet, and then another person I recognize from Minseo's club. Minseo, time to wake up. Already? Is this guy from the Cure? Wait, do you mean club or clan? The guy with like the dumb looking face is from the clan. He's the guy that we're gonna be doing our match with. I've got to see for myself that she can actually play. It's not that hard to believe. She still hangs out with Chaeyoung after all. Minseo practically inhales Jet's vending machine fruit cup, which does some good to wake her up. With a small stretch, she bounces out of her chair and onto her feet. Are you nervous? Which one of them are you up against? A little, and it's this guy. She squints and points out Juan through the crowd of his underlings. That one. I sometimes see that guy outside the XSL studio, kind of hard to miss. Minseo's other classmates wipe his glasses and fixes her with a stare. I never took you as the betting type, Minseo. Don't tell me you owe him money. Well, maybe he thinks I do. There was this bet match, right? And then they got all mad and showed up and wanted to take command of Golden Zone Fire, and it's a game to decide who's right and who's wrong. All there is to it. A fact like that isn't obvious, but I'd expect Jeff to know it. Debates and compromises are complicated. A fight is simple. That truth comes naturally to everyone, even Minseo. It's time. Juan and Minseo meet eyes when he takes his first steps across the room. With his clan retinue, towers over his station and waits. Are you sure he's ready for this? I have to be. I can't call myself a StarCraft fan unless I do this. Heh, that's the spirit. Let's rumble. Bring it on! They choose setups just across from each other. Behind Juan, his clanmates gang up to spectate. When one of them tries to cross over to watch from our side, Jet stares so hard that he steps back without a word. No screen peeking. Minseo opens standard, just as we practiced. Her sincere focus on the screen before her earns the interest of her nearby classmate. Wow, she really can play. But Minseo doesn't answer. She sends her scout across the map just a few seconds slower than I would have. Luckily, she found his spawn right away. Her probe harass doesn't have bad either, might slow him down a bit. Yeah, and he still hasn't taken his gas. Meanwhile, Juan's SUV enters her base a half minute later. She's quick to tag it with a few probe attacks, and soon enough it scurries back to Juan's base. Not long after, she calls a retreat of her own probe. Late gas and simple barracks point to the likelihood of a greedy expansion. Jet and I see confidence on her face when she looks back at us with a smile. Chaeyoung chides her right away by pointing back to her screen. With the commotion from Clan Goon and 4 of us here supporting Minseo, a bunch of cafe patrons huddle around to watch. Even Smoke's part-timer wakes in time to join the crowd. He must have expanded. I'll leave a Dragoon here. Search for a hidden base and keep my lead. A probe she sends out onto the map to search out macro gimmicks from Goon disappears from the minimap. She takes just a little too long to notice with her focus on her build order. By the time she realizes her scout is missing, she finds the cause at her doorstep. What? You idiot! An all-in army of Marines and SCVs tears down the meager defense at Minseo's natural expansion and busts up the ramp into her main. In her shock, Minseo is slow to put up her defense. It's hard to imagine it'd have made much of a difference considering the size of Goon's force. Nice play, standard, so standard, expand into a crushed by 1 base push. No doubt that's standard from you. Flustered, Minseo breaks her attention away from the units, destroying her base, and aims it at Goon. His grin stretches ear to ear. Minseo, focus, you're not out of this yet. She's taken a ton of damage already, and won't have time to get Dragoon range. Wisely, Minseo does the only thing she can in this scenario, and pulls her probes. But there's just too many Marines. With Juan's bunker nearby finished, she's forced to call a retreat with the probes that survived her desperate attack. You expanded. How do you have so many units? Did you see me expand? Think back and think real hard. Wait, did you? Of course I did. He roars with laughter, the crowd behind him joining in as he dances his units back and forth in Minseo's base. Her hand trembles on the mouse. I knew you'd think I'd play a normal game. You'd been practicing with pro gamers, but that's not how the Goon clan rolls. All along, I had another barracks waiting at the center of the map. All I had to do was make my units an A move. Easy. With her final effort to With her final effort to defend thoroughly defeated, Minseo can continue. She types out a GG. The Goon clan shares fist bumps and laughs with its leader, all impressed and amused with Wan's tactic. Typical coin flipping piece of shit. Minseo, it's fine. You played fine. You were on track to a solid mid-game. With her forehead resting on the keyboard, Minseo lets out a long sigh and answers without looking up. I suck. Even after practice from you guys I lost, and while you were cheering me on. It's just one game. You'll have plenty more to come. Yeah, you play way better than I thought. Across the aisle, Goon puts his hands behind his head and shows his teeth at me and Jet. Hope you're ready to keep up your end of the bargain. Welcome home, boys. Goon offers a hand behind. It's promptly high-fived by his closest clanmate. Hold on. A voice cuts through the Goon clan's revelry from across the cafe to earn the attention of it all. Even those trying to ignore the show match to kill walking mushrooms in a forest. Smoke stands in the doorway to the back entrance. He tosses an envelope to his part-timer as he steps to stand before Wan. What is it? I ain't satisfied with that. So what? This is none of your business. It's my place, you brick. I've got the right to refuse service if I feel like it. But I'm a man prone to boredom, so how about this? We play StarCraft. I win, you leave my place to that girl. You win, I give you and your pal here 40 free hours on the PC. You really don't. But he silences me with a look. His lackadaisical, uninterested expression remains constant. Wan contorts his previously victorious expression. It's a tempting offer, yet. Who is this guy? I wonder if he's like one of those ex-pro gamers they were talking about that nobody actually saw who he was. Do you even play this game? You're like twice my age. I don't look it, do I? Screw it, let's go. Double or nothing. Wan whoops the clanmates around him into a frenzy with some hand-waving and hollering. He crashes right back into his chair and throws his headset back on. This can't end well. But on my other side, Minseo watches Smokes with wide-eyed awe as he takes his place in her chair. Can you really beat this guy, Mr. Clerk? I've got no idea. The clerk does not waste a second before sending his first SCV cross-map. Another proxy, though this time it's on Wan to defend it. Wait a second, he's going to pull the boys, isn't he? What does that mean? Watch, here comes the Marines. The SCV is right behind. Both sides watch this early game knife fight explode at the 3-minute mark in silence. All that comes down from here is Micro. He finishes the bunker. Is this actually happening? He's getting bunker rushed? It's like I'm traveling back in time. This is practically all StarCraft used to be in the 90s. Wan ruthlessly tries to outdamage the clerks repairing SCVs. Each time a Marine spawns, the clan leader is too slow to pull it away. And just like that, it's over. Wan mashes out a GG and then stares at his screen. He got bunker rushed. User the Tempest. Yeah, Rashai, welcome to the stream. This game is esports. It's a visual novel called Don't Forget Our Esports Dream, and it's about StarCraft. Wow, 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 wow. He got bunker. Wow, you've got to be joking. What the hell? That was total bullshit. That wasn't even StarCraft. That's the only StarCraft I know. Seems it still works fine. That was nothing. You don't even know how to play this game, old man. When I told you I ain't satisfied with that, what I was referring to was your ugly rush. Now I'm satisfied. Hope you learned something. I won't accept this. You tricked me. Play me again on a real map. You lost. My house, my rules. The clerk reaches for the ashtray at his mouse pad and takes a long drag. End of the line, bucko. Goon reels and flails for a retort. He slams both fists into the keyboard and shoves himself away from the desk. Screw you, your cafe is trash anyway. Let's roll, Goon. His clan, stuck with a mixture of dumbstruck and speechless faces, quietly follow him out the door. This is based on StarCraft Brood War. A little bit earlier, they talked about StarCraft 2 beta testing. some pros were invited to beta test StarCraft 2. So they talked about that, and they like kind of pondered about what's gonna happen to the scene, like if there's gonna be a split, if the league is still gonna run Brood War, stuff like that. His clients, stuck with a mixture of dumbstruck and speechless faces, quietly follow him out the door. There's a moment of calm when the last one leaves. The handful of other patrons watch Smokes, his PC cafe, silent for the first time since I've been here. Then they wander back to their stations and return to whatever games they've been playing, business as usual. That was amazing. Mr. Clerk, you totally spanked him. How can you micro like that when your fingers are so old and tired? It's nothing I wasn't doing 10 years ago. You know the game is that old, don't you? I'm not too impressed. That guy's reaction was terrible. But for helping Minseo, thank you. And it's always nice to see someone I don't like lose. Yeah, you're welcome. It's safe to say our agreement is off, but why bother with us? He sniffs, eyeing Jet before shifting his gaze towards me. Answer me something. How do you do it? This life you're living. What? Playing on stage? Life in a team house? Just about every kid that's come in here and every other PC bang for the past decade wanted to play their favorite game on TV, but none but a few ever did. Whoops. It's like anything else. We were exceptional to start with, worked hard, and maybe got a little lucky. Nothing generic like that. Give me something real. Do I really have an answer on hand for that question? I barely even know this guy. There's no easy answers. And give me a hard one. What is this? If I could, but I can't. Whatever my answers, I don't pretend to have them all. But my life as a pro gamer isn't something that anyone can take away from me. From either of us. Speak for yourself. I've never called myself a pro gamer. For a moment there's silence. We all heard what she said, but... What? You're totally a pro gamer. You are on a team, lived in a team house, and played matches on TV. But what have I actually accomplished? Those are accomplishments though. So many players dream of doing what you have. No, they dream of championships and glory. What I had was a pale imitation. Do you know how I got my license, Minseo? You must have won it from Braver, of course. I can't remember which, but it was literally handed to me. That's how I became a pro gamer. Because someone else decided I should be one, but I never earned that right. Those are some thick computers. Those are CRT monitors. They're really old. While I was in the KBGA, my only wins, my only games were exhibitions, or 2v2s, or other hollow spectacles. Not once did I qualify for XSL, but that didn't stop heaps of praise from every direction. You're selling yourself short. David Martin, Hiei Rin, welcome to the stream. Good morning. I'm really not. Even if you were just a practice partner, at least you were part of the team. I was just nothing. And when I dared to ask for more, I was politely offered a place on the shelf, seen but unheard, so I saw myself out. In the silence that follows, the clerk steps off the station he'd been leaning on to stand before her. That's not an answer. Bolt won't quit because someone told him to. What about you? If they tell you no enough times, or if they make it obvious you won't fit, will you let them? Are you prepared to leave things like that? Hell no! Not until they learn how wrong they were. Then I hope that I won't have to see either of you sulking around here much longer. Thanks, I think. He nods softly and turns, soon at home behind his desk and magazine. My guitar practice dreams inspired you to pick up the guitar again? Nice! I hope you have fun and enjoy. Maybe get real good. So, Minseo, after all of this, think you'll keep practicing? After taking a moment to think, Minseo reaches into her pocket. She stares intently at whatever she's holding and then grips it tight. Well, I've got a club to lead. I'm gonna walk into school tomorrow and be like, hey Bean, you better show up to club or else you're a chobo. I don't think I'll ever be a great StarCraft player, but I don't need to be. I'd rather see StarCraft grow and cheer for my favorite players. You know, you both are so brave. Everyone grows up being told they have to get perfect grades to get into the right school so they can get a job at SS5 or wherever. You guys went through all of that only to choose something even more competitive and way more scary. We're trying to play video games for a living. Brave is probably going too far. Well, even if it is, I feel real lucky to be a part of all of this. I feel like I should show it somehow. Jet, you already have my undying love and affection, but Bolt, you helped me out even though you barely know me. I want you to take this. A probe keychain? That's thoughtful of you, Minseo. Thank you. His name is Probe-kun. Please take good care of him. If you open him up, you'll see that he's also a thumb drive, but be gentle. Yeah, of course, probes only have 40 HP. Ugh. Well, I'll be rooting for you guys at ICG. I hope they have an online broadcast. With you cheering for us, how could we lose? You don't match against me early in bracket, that's how. Unlikely. When do you guys fly out? Friday morning, less than a week. We've got serious practice ahead of us between then and now. I haven't even took a look at the bracket. How exactly is the tournament going down? A few invites and winners of region lock qualifiers make up 14 spots of a 16-person bracket. The last 2 spots are reserved for whoever qualifies through pools. It's going to be extremely competitive. It should be mostly foreigners, so no big deal. No way the KPGA is letting their talent touch a non-affiliated open bracket. Wrong, unfortunately. Zhang won the Korea qualifier and they're letting him go. Seriously? I practiced 2 stations down from Zhang. How the hell did I miss this? By the way, if you thought that was bad, one of those invites is for Fierce. No. The pipe dream of a miraculous open bracket slog into an underdog win suddenly seems a lot less likely. Last season's champ and my former CHB renowned teammate. The latter knows my play in and out, and the former is too good to care. Well, I can hope for third, I guess. Sorry, Jet. Fierce is way too good, but I might be able to take Zhang with all the ZVP you've been giving me. He's better than me, though not by much. Is there any way to make sure we aren't on the same side of pools? Hey, what happened with you cheering for us? How can we lose? Minseo performs her displeasure expertly, convincing aside from the smile she fails to avoid cracking. Sorry, Minseo. Positive self-talk can only get you so far. But we'll totally win, promise. Well, I'm gonna get started on new club activities right away. Websites to update, microphones to buy. I'll see you guys later. She waves and twirls on her way out. Jet and I take our time before following suit. You should find someone else to practice with until we fly out. Afraid of exposing all of your tricks before the tournament? I'm serious, we've only been working on one matchup. Unless you plan on winning PvP or PvT with Corsairs somehow, our practice won't count for much against more than half of the players there. And yes, you should be too. We're almost guaranteed to face off as long as you don't screw up. You're probably right. With both Fierce and Zhang there, I need to work on my PvP. She shoots me a sidelong glare. Warily, Jet steps a little closer. So, I'll be practicing on my own for the next few days. What about you? Do you have any other practice partners? No one I can reach out to. I'll probably just ladder. I just want to make sure you're taking this seriously. International plane tickets aren't easy to come by. Yeah, thanks for that. If I hadn't said enough. Sure. She kicks a stray piece of gravel into the street and buries a hand in her pocket. When was the last time you went outside of South Korea? Japan for my school's senior trip? I could have had a better time, but I was too mad about something one of their far-right politicians said right before we went. You have problems, and you're preppy scum. Ours was to Busan, barely lasted a weekend. Busan. When I don't say anything for a while to think of Locke's beachfront final, I feel a sharp pinch on the back of my arm. Cheong stops, turns, and bores her eyes straight through me. Take my advice. Nothing is going to get you back. Nothing is going to get you put back on CHB renown. Not that you should even want to be back on. Stop thinking you're a special kind of screw up for what happened to you. Shouldn't I? I spent a year of my life helping them build something only for them to dump me. You're a good player and you can still have a conversation with any of those guys, so what the hell did you lose? You say you didn't deserve it, and I believe you. Even more reason to quit looking back. It's my turn to kick a loose piece of gravel. It's annoying that you're right. You looked up to those guys, sure, but you know how the game is. Everyone is too worried about themselves to stick their necks out for anyone else. Some of them, sure, but Locke? Look, the best revenge is living well. So Sungwon, live well. I reach out and jab her shoulder with my fist. This time, she doesn't feel the need to hide her smile. Station's just ahead. Keep an eye on your texts. Will do. She turns, then I do. Ahead, my Goshuan building peeks out from the rows of shops and apartments. Alright, I'm going to save here. This seems like a good spot to end my playthrough. Yes. That was long. That was like 3 hours of reading. Is it? My voice is definitely getting a little bit sore now. So I'll be cutting it here. Thanks everybody for stopping by and watching me. Really appreciate that. And I'll see you guys next time. I'm thinking maybe I'll do something on Monday. I'll figure out what I want to do on Monday by tomorrow, and then I'll put it out on Twitter and stuff like that. And if you guys haven't joined my Discord, let me put out a link for that as well. Actually, let me check. I think everyone here is in my Discord. Maybe not Nostromo. If you want the link, let me go grab it right now. Announcements, copy, link. For some reason, Google signed me out of YouTube. Am I back? Otsukarin, yeah. Otsukarin. Let me grab the Discord link right now. So here is my Discord link. There's a live stream ping, and I just like manually do the live stream pings. Anyways, thanks everybody for stopping by, and I'll catch you guys later. Otsukarin, bye bye. Probably not continuing this game on Monday. I don't know when I'll continue it.